Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast in St. Larry 13, as we're preparing to get underway for the first race of, well, hopefully be a successful and fun season here for us OSRL. Today, it's the Daytona 350 at Daytona International Speedway, the biggest race of the season, usually the longest race in the season. Before we get too far into it, real quickly, we just want to take a look. Not everyone who is supposed to show up today has yet joined the lobby. We are still waiting on a few stragglers to jump in. Also, being as this is the first race of the season, we might as well go ahead and go over some of the necessary things once we get to it. However, before that, just need to go ahead and take care of some last-minute adjustments that could not be done until the broadcast itself started. So 20 of our 22 driver field is here today. Well, okay, it looks like the code commentator is not going to be joining us either today, then. Cool. We were supposed to have a second broadcaster for today's event, but it looks like that's gone sideways. Okay, who are we missing? Alright. Well, anyway, so much for that, I guess. So it looks like, despite the fact that there were 26 different people all saying that they were willing to race, looks like we're only going to have a field of about 19 because a bunch of people decided to pop out at the last moment. Go figure. All right, so few key differences between this and more traditional or typical NASCAR race that's, been the norm since about 2017. We do have stages in this series, however, those stages will not be broken up by mandatory yellow flags. In between each and every single stage break, you will just continue to go on racing. Now, if there is a yellow flag that happens on the lap of a stage break or stage crossover period, well, it will still be treated like a normal lap. However, points will be given at the end of those stages only to the drivers who are running in the top five positions. The laps of note will be 45, realistically 46 because we have a pace lap. 90, which will realistically be lap 91 because of the pace lap. And then obviously the race itself will end on lap 140. Honestly, 141 because of how the pace lap works out. Alright, so right now we're just staying by to get underway, waiting on the entire field to get in here properly. TTJ11 and the Tire Barrier have both decided to join, although they're both a little bit late to the joining process. And it looks like in the end we're only going to have 21 drivers by the looks of it. Alright, so 21 drivers will be lining up for today's event. As we look very quickly from the bottom to the top of everyone who is here in the lobby, of the drivers that will be taking part today, Lucas Speed will be driving the number 20 Home Depot Chevrolet. Dino Prime 77 will be in the number 77 Great Clips Chevrolet. Bracevant, or Bryant, I believe is what he wants to actually be called, will be in the number 32 Ford machine. Tactical Fallout will be representing Viagra in the number 14 Fusion today. SSR U5 AMVP is starting dead last today as he has to deal with a driver penalty incurred from the clash. He is going to be in the number 54 Mobile One Toyota. OTR Anonyms is in the number 80 Ford Credit Ford, and then Oof Serena is in the number 81. Number 89 AlphaTauri Ford. FCT Racing is representing Ford with that number 25 machine. XBot 360 is in the number 88 Exalta Ford. I thought there was a Chevrolet for a second. Then once you get beyond that, you also have TMS Stingray. Stingray is in the number 1 Motorcraft Ford. SRD Shredder is going to be representing the U.S. Army. Yeah, I know it's a weird thing seeing a British driver in the U.S. Army colors, but he'll be driving the U.S. Army number 10, the same paint scheme that almost won Mark Martin the Daytona 500 in 2007. Rock Morrow is in the number 24 Trojan Condoms Chevrolet. Then once you get past them, stop lagging me out. Then once you get past them is TMS Derp. Derp is in the number 33 Ritz machine. Prius Killer is in the number 76 Chevrolet. And then you also have Raygun vs. Zombie. He is in the number 5 Hendrick Automotive Chevrolet. Then OTR Popping is ranked today, and then Krispy Kreme number 17 Ford Fusion. TFB Matter, one of the graduates from the Busch series, is in the number 19 Craftsman Toyota. Aero Cobri had a lot of confusion on if he was actually going to be able to run today due to some wheel issues. He is going to be running in the number 2 Ford Fusion. Then Coco Gamer 11, the winningest driver in all of OSRL, although he still has yet to win a championship, he is going to be in the number 7 Ford, sponsored by 7-Eleven. Will you stop lagging out? Then you have TTJ111. TJ is going to be in the number 78 DeWalt Chevrolet, and Tire Barrier is in the number 0 Coca-Cola Toyota. I will admit that is a very, very fancy paint scheme. I'm not going to say I myself love it, but it's definitely very, very fancy, and that will give you the general rundown for today's race. Alright, so right now I believe they're trying to get Xebot 360 back in here real quickly. Just standing by for the moment until they can get him back in, and then we should be underway once he is back in. They will have to reload the lobby, though, to load the circuit itself, then properly organize everyone into the proper order, and then they will get going. Alright, I think they may have just gotten him back in, actually. Let's see here. Yes, they do have Xebot back in. Okay, so they should be loading the lobby up relatively shortly here, and then once the lobby is up, we will be underway. Excuse me. Alright, just waiting to get underway here. I've already gone through the entire list of everyone who's supposed to be here. There were supposed to be more drivers who said they would show up, but ended up not readying up or not even trying to sign up for the event. Just annoyance and stuff. But whatever. I have no idea why we're not going yet. Alright, looks like everyone is readying up now. So once I imagine FCT Racing readies up himself, we will be in a position where they will immediately load up onto the track. Also, want to give a shout out once again to Icky1975, your pace car driver. Alright, there we are. Now we're on to the track itself. Once everyone is properly readied up, we will get underway. One pace lap and we will immediately be underway for the race itself. Sadly, being as it is the first race of the season, and I'm the only person here, there's really not a whole lot to go over or talk about beforehand. We have had three preseason races go on. Beforehand, SRD Shredder took home victory at Road America. Then we also had one at Suzuka. That was won by, I believe it was won by TTJ11, and that was at Suzuka's East Layout. And then we also had the Daytona Busch Clash at the Daytona Road Course, which was won by Ludicrous Speed about 2 weeks back. So last week we did the qualifying and the duels for the event, which set up the grid order for the entire race, with the exception of the pole position, as pole position is dictated by whoever has the fastest lap in qualifying. They can choose to not partake in the duels, and that is what SRD Shredder did. He chose not to partake. As we now begin to load onto the circuit, so going from the back to the front here, last place, as we said, is going to be SSR. SSR has made a comment to me, and I've got to work with him a little bit earlier on. He does not have a lot of confidence, simply because although he knows he's good at drafting, he has to start in the back of the grid, and has a high likelihood he could get knocked off early on. Then ahead of him is going to be Tire Barrier in 21st. Brian is going to be 20th. 19th will be Prius Killer. 18th will be Tactical Fallout. 17th will be Aerocobe. 16th will be OTR Popping. 15th will be Oof Serena. 14th will be OTR Anonymous. Then ahead of him, 13th is going to be TFB Matter. 12th will be TMS Derp. 11th, Xebot 360. 10th is going to be TMS Stingray. 9th is Raygun vs. Zombie. 8th will be Coco Gamer 11. 7th will be FCT Racing. 6th will be Dino Prime 77. 5th is Rock Mario. 4th is TTJ 111, defending winner of the 350. 3rd is Ludicrous Speed. 2nd will be SRD Shredder. First will be SRD Shredder. He has the pole position. Icky1975, I forgot he has just the pace car for today's race. He is not actually scoring points today, as everyone is now beginning to double up. And this will likely be a long race, probably one of the longest broadcasts, if not the longest broadcast we'll have this entire season here. As everyone's trying to real quickly double up into double file position before they get to the line here. Only a single lap to get some heat into the tires, and then everything's go. From a little bit of testing that I got to do earlier on, it looks like a run here run on fuel will last you about 29 laps as we prepare to get underway. Shredder leads him to the line. Green flag is in the air at Daytona for the 350. And the 10 car holds even. He actually pulls away just a little bit as they get down the line. All 21 drivers still together right now. Ludicrous Speed on the outside with Rockmouth trying to give him a push, but it's a 7 car train on the inside line. Shredder takes the advantage, and he'll move right to the front coming out of 1. The entire field is already starting to spiral down into single file lines. No one wants to make anything super crazy happen. Going into the first lap here, the field now runs into turn 3. Turn 3, Ludicrous Speed is there on the outside. He's been pretty much left out to dry. He's already plummeting down to the grid with no aerodynamic help to help him. There is a single car incident farther back. At the back of the grid, there has been an incident as we're trying to get the cameras to work and move, but it's not working right now. It does look like, however, TFB Matter has had an incident at the back, near the back of the grid. Looks like he may be the only one, though. OTR Popping did take some incident, as both Popping and Matter have both fallen off the back of the grid due to a lap 1 incident. However, the field stays under green flag conditions beyond that as we go ahead and ride on board here with the tire barrier. Right on the back of the grid, you can see the field already beginning to spread out. About a 7-car train at the front, and there's an incident ahead. 2, 3, 4 cars. Exibot very nearly gets clipped by the tire barrier, and that will be a multi-car incident, and the yellow flag will fall here. Lap 3 at the Daytona 350. Very, very short period of time until we had our first yellow flag incident. And for the likes of Matter and Popping, they'll be very happy that it happened so quickly, because this will give them a chance to gather back up to the back of the grid. Pace car is back out onto the field, and everyone will get lined back up into double file position sooner rather than later. One thing to take note of, though, is that when you're at Daytona, in normal NASCAR at least, they do not let you choose the lane you restart in. You have to just be inside odd number of positions on the inside, even number of positions on the outside. That's not the case today, though. For the OSRL series, everyone gets to choose what lane they'll start in. We could see some people farther back on the grid make a lot of ground. There's TJ. He's going to move up into second. He wants to be on the outside line. He'll have Coco Gamer behind him, and TMS Stingray will be behind him. You're starting to see everyone doubling up farther back in the grid right now. And it looks like everyone was relatively close enough together. This will be a short, barely more than a lap yellow flag, and we'll be going green very quickly here. So our 21 car field already gathered all the way back up. A little bit of fun fact, historically, the largest accident that's ever happened at Daytona in this series, in a maximum 20 car field, was a 15 car accident that happened back in Season 2. Early on in that event, we have never seen an incident with more than 15 cars in it since. That could change today, though. Shredder leads us to the green flag again. This time, he has to hold off TJ on the outside. TJ being pushed by the 7 of Coco Gamer. There's a 77 of Dino Prime, though, right behind Shredder. I gotta talk with Dino a little bit before the start of the race. Due to some drivers dropping out, it actually moved Dino up to where he was going to be able to start the race on the inside line. He said he was ecstatic about that fact, because he loves starting on the inside here. 2, 3 cars getting into it farther back. Everyone seems to keep it together, though, but just barely. No, 2, 3, 4 cars. They're all over the place in the back straightaway there. And that will be a multi-car incident there on the back straight, as the cameras continue to just be a pain in the here. But we saw them get about 3 wide coming out of turn 2, and drivers hit the outside wall. It looked like they were going to keep it together. But you see a lot of accidents that happen on the straightaways here. A big cause for that is simply because you're moving around, you're jockeying for a position on the back straightaway, trying to set yourself up for the best lane when you get into the next corner. So our second yellow flag of the day comes out sooner rather than later. So a nice clean first lap has led to, at least for the moment, a series of yellow flag incidents here. As we see here at the back of the grid, SSR, U5, AVMP, and Rockmaro being the 2 who went spinning out into the infield grass on the back straightaway. They are now trying to catch up to the back of the grid. Everyone, though, still on the lead lap. We've not even gone long enough for anyone to run the risk of going a lap down. And when everyone is just running under fuel and tire wear and there's no realistic damage on these cars, you don't have to really worry about taking up a bunch of time repairing the car in pit lane. Now, it looks like these 2 have now caught the back of the grid, and we will be going likely this lap. So the interesting thing about it is that TJ actually had a decent enough run that he was able to pop down behind Shredder coming to the green flag, because the outside line just didn't go as well as he wanted. Now TJ is going to choose to start on the outside line once again. Shredder will still be on his inside. SRD Shredder has led every lap thus far today as they're coming to the green flag. And they're off. They're multi-wide, farther back in the grid. It looks like it's actually going to... Oh, and there's a 00 spinning farther back there. Single car all the way into the inside wall, though. And there's more cars involved now. Couldn't see who that was. And there you are, another multi-car SSR the SSR man. And then also in the 20th position, so another multi-car instant. This one right at the start. And we're already back under yellow flag. And we saw the tire. I don't know if it was the tire bearer, if it was someone else. It may have been OTR popping. It was a man in the 00, so I think it was the tire bearer. He got turned shortly after they came out of the tri-oval and went sliding hard into that inside wall. It was a head-on impact. But he was able to keep going. As SRD Shredder now back out in the lead still. But this time it's Coco Gamer, who actually had a better start using that inside line. He has moved ahead of TJ. Dino Prime, who was up in 3rd position at one point, he's kind of fallen back a bit to the 5th spot. Again, choosing to start on the inside line, normally that's not a bad idea, but the fact that this yellow flag happened so shortly after the restart, the outside line didn't really have any time to lose ground if they weren't properly hooked up. That has now since pushed drivers who were betting on the inside line, moving them forward, actually getting pushed farther back. But at the front, it's still been SRD Shredder, who has led every lap thus far today. Very interesting scenario as a British driver, defending series champion in the truncated 4th season last year. He is a British man who drives cars that are frequently sponsored by the United States Army. It's a very strange distinction, to say the least. Everyone's single file, so we will not be going green this lap. Oh no, apparently we are going green, and I'm guessing that the word from higher up is that to try and avoid a restart instant, they will be going green in single file formation. So with that in mind, Shredder takes us to the green flag. Immediately, we're seeing some spreading out happening farther back in the grid, but no major movement at the front. This is Xebot, who is back in the midfield right now, actually starting to fall a little bit off the front group. You see the 33 Ritz car going to his outside. Ooh, there's somebody into the wall. There's two somebodies into each other, and they're spinning. That's Dino Prime in the 77, who has spun, coming onto the back straightaway. And Dino Prime, who has so much bad luck in the season opening races at Daytona, sees it strike again. We're still under green flag conditions by the looks of it. And with that in mind, it means that he will be at the highest risk of being trapped a lap down. Xebot gets around the outside now of Prius Killer, and he'll slot him down in front of him. He's having a little bit of trouble keeping that number 88 on the inside line. Now his next target is TMS Derp ahead. Oh, a little bit of contact there. Prius Killer, Matt are really into it with each other, but everyone is single file, and despite the instant coming onto the back straightaway on the prior lap, we stay green. A lot of movement farther up is kind of breaking up the nice even draft pack, and we're seeing a lot of kind of sliding and bopping around down the straights, and everyone tries to jump down into near single file line. When they get into the corners, we see a green car that's a little bit farther up the grid who has been held out to dry. Now we see Oof Serena in the AlphaTauri. He's gone the outside to try and help, and now they both cut down in front of the Ritz machine that Xebot is trying to catch on. Now it's Derp's chance. TMS Derp looks to the outside to try and make something happen, but it's not going to happen. There's no momentum there. Everyone is just stuck in one giant single file train, and as they say in the world of NASCAR reaction videos, where's my 8-wide racing? Because we're not seeing it here. Everyone is playing it relatively safe and conservative for the moment. They just want to stay all together. At the front, though, it is still a little bit interesting because Shredder holds on to the lead, but has to fight with Coca, who is fighting him on the outside. TJ was out there trying to push the 7 around him. Now the 7's by. Shredder is on the outside. He has no help. And now there's Coco Gamer going to the lead with Ludicrous Speed giving him a push. SRD Shredder says he has a lot of trouble properly focusing during oval races, and he struggles to stay on the inside line for more than 2 or 3 laps at a time. 2, 3, cars into the outside wall. That's a multi-car instant coming down the back straightaway now. The multi-car crash going down the back straightaway. As you can see, about 3 different cars involved back there. And for Dino Prime, this is the perfect scenario because he will get a chance to catch back up to the grid before he ran the risk of going a full lap down. This is Bryant there, 19th position now. OTR Anonym's one of the other drivers involved in that, and it will take him just a little bit longer to catch up. So we've not had a chance to get a proper, nice green flag run thus far in the session. So going into this event, there was a lot of talk. Okay, well, what kind of Daytona race are we going to see? The first 2 times a 350 has been attempted, it ended up with a lot of yellow flags, although we did see a long 35-lap green flag run to the end of this race in Season 1. However, the 3rd and 4th attempts at this event, well, that was a little bit different because both of those times it happened, we saw a different scenario where the people who ended up walking off with the, well, not the people, but the way the race went, we had a lot of long green flag runs starting relatively early in the event, and long green flag runs kind of dictate the pace of the event. It seems right now, though, that this is trending more towards the first 2 Daytona season openers with lots of chaos in the opening laps. The big thing, though, is that we now have a different leader as Coco Gamer will be leading with Ludicrous Speed now in 2nd. SRD Shredder, who was your pole sitter, has now dropped to 3rd position. And 4th, that's someone that we've not seen a whole lot of thus far today. In that 4th position, that's TMS Stingray. He is one of the newcomers, not a veteran for this series, and he now has a chance to move up the grid just a little bit into the 4th spot. Everyone's still single file, but everyone is gathered up. So will we see our pace car pull off? Yes, the pace cars pull off, and he is the only one, though. It looks like no one else is going to bother pitting thus far today as they're getting ready to come to the green flag. And we're underway. Stingray gets a nice jump at the line and will immediately go to the outside of SRD Shredder. He looks to the outside to get a little bit of a draft pull from Ludicrous Speed. Ludicrous Speed, though, is he going to stick with Stingray? He will stick with him just enough. Shredder is actually falling back. It's caused a 3-wide scenario back there behind as FMS Racing is kind of like a cork in the bottle there. And it's TJ who was near the front earlier on. He's now been caught out on the high side. No one's willing to help him. He will now fall backwards through the grid. So TMS Stingray now up there in the 3rd position in that Goodyear Ford. He is behind Ludicrous Speed, who won his Daytona duel, and they're both behind Coco Gamer. Coca, the winningest driver in the series, has never taken home a victory, though, at any Daytona race in this series, whether it be on the road course, on the oval, points paying, non-points paying, it's never happened for him. As we look a little bit farther back in the grid, though, there's a lot more interesting racing about in the mid-pack. This is TFB Matter. He is on the inside as they're he's side by side, but again, inside line has the advantage. No one seems to really want to work on the outside. We know the package can make the outside work, but it's normally just simpler and faster to try and make the inside one work. Matter trying to do some tandem drafting with Raygun. It goes sideways for Raygun. He gets spat to the outside. Matter will hold the inside line. He'll keep it together. The leaders are all over each other farther up. Here comes Matter to the inside of Tactical Foil. Tack has to jump back up the track, and Matter is by him, but that might get looked at post-race. That might be considered a pass below the double yellow. I saw someone get a little bit sideways going into one, but it looks like they figured it out. Matter in the middle of a 3-wide fight as he is charging up to the field. He's already up into the 7th position as he's trying to overtake TJ. TJ is looking on the outside. There's a line that's forming on the outside, but he can't make it stick. Matter now up into the 5th position. An outstanding move from the back to the front. FCT Racing makes some contact with Byron there, and there's no one helping on the outside with FCT. If he can't find a way to get in fast, there will be a problem. Oh, and there's a spin! And there's a spin as the one car goes into the infield grass, hard to the outside wall. SRD Shredder is caught up into it. There's a multi-car incident. 3 cars involved in an accident going through the tri-oval. And that all started when Matter held his line by the looks of it and was pushed down below the double yellow. and the man who pushed him down went spinning off of Matter's front bumper into the infield grass, and while the car did not take off, it did cut right back into the middle of the racetrack, right in front of SRD Shredder, in the middle to back of the field. So OTR Anonyms, who has been struggling for most of the day, finds himself caught up in another incident and once again relegated to the back of the grid, and he is not the only one. That is SRD Shredder, who is in the 18th position. And TMS Stingray, who had worked his way up into the top 5, was 4th. But coming out of turn 4 was a little wide, let Matter get on his inside, and they went side by side, but I don't think Stingray realized that Matter was going to hold the line. He came right down and spun himself out off of the front bumper of Matter's machine. Still a while until the field is all gathered up. Now, one thing to remember to take note of, though, here at Daytona, you cannot go below the double yellow line, but those double yellow lines are not straight on the straightaways necessarily. In fact, on the little bit of straight that's in between the exit of turn 4 and the entrance of the tri-oval, the double yellow line actually bends inward away from the normal racetrack just a little bit. If you're fast enough and you can time it right, you can actually take an even more inside line coming to the tri-oval than you would on any of the other straightaways here. That was the line that Matter was taking advantage of, while the normal line that the car prefers to take normally takes you a little bit more midway. It's really easy to accidentally let someone get into your inside coming out of turn 4. It was just something that Stingray wasn't expecting, went around Matter, and that is where the difference comes from being experienced and veteran. So it looks like everyone's aborting double file restarts, at least for the moment, and we're sticking with just single file restarts. Pace car is off at the front of the grid. It is Coco Gamer. As they come to the green flag, he has to hold off Ludicrous Speed. He gets a good jump off the 20. Look at that green car shooting on the outside. I don't even know who that was, but that was an amazing jump they took. That may have been Bryant there. No, that was Raygun. Raygun versus Zombie, and he is working immediately with TJ. They're trying to make some tandem drafting happen on the outside line. Now Bryant goes to the outside. He wants to take advantage of it. TJ says, yeah, I'm not going to be behind someone else on the outside, so he cuts down to the inside line. But at the front, the top 3 positions all stay single file. Coco Gamer, Lucas Speed, Arrow, Kobe. And just behind them is Byron and TJ. TFB Matter has worked his way into the 6th position after the incident earlier, but has not been able to do anything else since. Now we see Raygun looking back to the outside once more. As we ride out the back of Coco's machine, this is your lead driver we're on board with as we look back at the field behind. A little bit of smoke back there, but it looks like someone's gotten up into the wall and may run the rest. And there we are, Lucas on the outside. He's getting an arrow push from Arrow Kobe. Now Coco Gamer does have the advantage, and Kobe leads Ludicrous Speed out to dry. So now we see a scenario where Lucas Speed has been pushed by around the outside, but Kobe did not follow. Lucas goes in the front ahead of Coco Gamer. Coco looks to the inside to try and sneak by the inside of Lucas. Can't make it stick. Lucas is wide to that. Now look, Coco's been pushed out wide by Arrow Kobe. And one of the men who were out front and led laps early on now finds himself hung out to dry in the same fashion that SRD Shredder did. Coco needs to hope that he can cut down here behind Matter fast, and that's exactly what he will do in between Matter and Raygun. So now Matter has charged up from the back of the grid up into the 3rd position at this point. Does he work with Arrow Kobe to try and get around Ludicrous Speed? That's the question. The other question, though, that has to be answered is what are we looking at when it comes to the fuel mileage game? No one has pitted thus far, and everyone has gone through a little bit more than half of their fuel tank. At the rate it's going, we may see pit stops by about lap 37 if my mental math is correct. That is, of course, assuming that drivers don't peel off and try to pit early. Coco Gamer looking to the outside, but he has no help. Raygun's just not close enough to do anything with him as the field is really spreading out very quickly here. The way the draft works, it really benefits the people in front more than the people behind until you get to about 2 or 3 car pack. Once the packs get to about 2 or 3 cars in size, then it normally benefits the people farther back instead of the ones farther up. TJ fighting there for the 6th position. He wants to try and get by Raygun versus Zombie. Those two continuing the little bit of a duel there. FCT Racing on the outside, not willing to work with him, but TJ doesn't want to drag TCJ with him either. This is an interesting little pack in the midfield here. That's SSR. He was involved in some instance earlier. Oh, the 24. Very nearly turns the 25. He does turn the 25 to the outside wall. The 25 is into it. He's into Rockborough. And there's another 2, 3, 4 car instant there on the back straightaway. So for Rockmorrow, he's going to be obviously very upset with how that turned out, as he ended up turning his drafting partner. But it looks like, I guess the instant may not have been as big as it looked like it was going to be on camera. We stay under the green flag right now. And at the front, it is Ludicrous Speed, Arrow Cove, and TFB Matter as 4th place Coco Gamer, although he was able to get back into the draft. Drafting the 4th car in the line is not very effective. You gradually get pushed away from the lead group, and that is exactly what we're seeing right now to Coco Gamer. And he has a pack of cars led by TJ barreling down on him with speed at this point in the event. So FCT Racing, who was spun out in that instant, now has to hope that there's a yellow flag or some other chaos to happen for him to catch back up to the lead group. Otherwise, he will be a man on his own. It's a position that no one wants to be in. TJ hooks up with Coca Gamer and immediately wants to start tandem drafting with them. A 2-car tandem draft under normal circumstances will be faster than a 3-car draft. However, the big question is, are you able to keep the 2 cars in that tandem nice and hooked up without spinning the man in front? We saw just a few laps earlier what happens if it's not properly hooked up. And you can push in the corners, but it's a very high risk, high reward kind of scenario. Farther back, you can see SSR. He is being tandem drafted by there with Tactical Fallout. Tactical Fallout, I got to talk with him before this race started. He said that he was not super confident about this race because the main guy he likes to tandem with, Gino Maximus, has retired from racing in Forza. And oh, wow! TJ comes up the track and blocks the momentum of those two, and they don't care. Tactical Fallout, I think he's found his replacement worker. He is working with SSR on the outside. They've broken up the draft between TJ and Coco Gamer. These two could be flying to the front. TJ comes back up the track again to try and take some air off of them. He's not able to make it work as nicely as he wants, it seems. Coco Gamer now goes to the outside, now cuts back to the inside. They're trying to break these 2 cars' momentum. It's brought everyone behind them up into it. It's a massive multi-car pack here. And this could get very interesting because that's lapped traffic farther up. TMS Derp is going to come into the pit lane. He sees this chaos. He wants no part of it. He'll pit, but pitting alone is normally a bad idea here unless you know there's a yellow flag coming. SSR gets very sideways coming in the corner. He's still got 2 cars drafting him on the outside. Coco Gamer has the inside. He's getting a small push from TJ. It's a 3x3 battle. Now we see Raygun coming to the inside line. He wants to give up on that for just a little bit. Can't make it stick. Now here comes Tactical Fallout. He's on the outside pushing SSR. TJ's pushing Coca. It's 2 tandem drafts fighting neck and neck for the 5th position out here. 4th and 5th position still going hard at while Usarita and Raygun versus Zombie are the wild card. Whoever they're willing to draft with will be the one going farther forward. They're all over each other, very nearly spin each other out nearly every time they enter the tri-oval. And just to add insult to injury, that is lap traffic that these guys are about to come down on. Lap traffic does not have to move away for lead lap cars unless they're multiple laps down. These guys will only be 1 lap down at this point in the event. This could end up getting very, very chaotic very quickly because no one here is at liberty to give up. And if you want to go ahead and break up to try and just wait for everyone to go single file, you could end up losing some very valuable time. Coco Gamer or TJ have the advantage of the inside line, which is the fastest way around the track. However, the outside duo of Tactical Fallout and SSR, they have a much, much better tandem draft working out in their favor, but they're trying to basically power by 4 cars with just the 2 of their own, and those 4 cars on the inside now are sniffing the draft from that lap, from the lap down cars. This continues to be very, very difficult for the 14 and the 54 to make happen. 2 Chevys on the inside, a Ford and a Toyota on the outside. They now barrel down on OTR Anonyms Ananem's one of the guys who spun out earlier, and then ahead of him are several guys who have already decided to make pit stops. Coco Gamer goes to the outside for just a bit. He says that he has enough momentum. He goes up with TJ. That knocks Tactical Fall into the outside wall. He's going to keep it together, though, for the moment. Coco Gamer chops down in front of OTR Ananem. Now that splits him away from his drafting partner for just a bit. However, it also means that he now has a bit of a gap over the men behind who are trying to get by. SSR has now lost Tactical Fallout. Raygun versus Zombie is the man who's behind him now. And that's SRD Shredder, your pole setter. He's already made his stop, and he's going to be the next driver that these men will try to be passing. The top three continue to hang out in single file procession. No real urge to try and get by there. SSR now going on the outside. Raygun is there with them. Ustarina behind. But again, lap traffic really is causing havoc for these people. Coco Gamer, though, knows that if those three can get by OTR Ananems, he'll be next on the shopping block. He comes up, blocks the momentum of SSR. So Coco Gamer wants to lead this group. The lap traffic is holding the inside line, and that means that he's able to keep relatively decent speed compared to the other people. Now we see Raygun and Ustarina on the outside. They're going to try and make a tandem draft work. And as more and more drivers are beginning to peel off to do pit stops as they're trying to get on alternate pit strategies and pit cycles, we thought it would break up the grid a lot more, but it's really not. Most of these guys have been getting back up to speed right in front of the lead pack. Now, lead pack has the cohesion to get around them, but everyone behind has not. This has been the most interesting battle on the track thus far today, and that is TFB Matter, who has just pitted out of that top 3 position now. So this promotes Coco Gamer now up into the 3rd spot. But Lucas Speed and Aero Cove continue to gap away from everyone else who has not yet pitted. Now Coco Gamer has SSR behind him. They both go around the outside of SRD Shredder. Raygun versus Zombie has lost his drafting help for the moment. He'll fall in line behind SRD Shredder just for the moment, but once he gets someone else up there work with him, I'm sure that will change. Now Coco Gamer and SSR, they're now in 3rd and 4th position and will now start trying to barrel down on the lead group. Lucas Speed, Aero Cope coming in the pit lane now. Who else will come down? Well, here comes 3rd place position Coco Gamer. He's coming in the pits. In fact, everyone who is not. Oh, and there's someone off. That is Tactical Fall, who got turned coming to the green, coming into the pits. He slides through the grass, but is able to continue without too much issue. So now we look at the map real quickly, and the new leader at this point in the event is going to be... Who is that? Who is that leading? Raygun versus Zombie. Raygun, Prius Killer, Dino, Tactical Fallout. They have not yet made their stops. The question is, how much longer can they go until they are out of fuel? For Tactical Fallout, he is at 1% fuel right now in the 4th position. For Dino Prime in 3rd position, he is at 2% fuel. I'm imagining we're going to see all these top 4 men pit right now. There you are. 1st is pitting, 2nd is pitting, 3rd is pitting, 4th is pitting. As you look on the map, 5th place, highlight on the back straightaway, this is Ludicrous Speed. He is the man who is anticipated to take over the lead of this event once he gets around. But did he get hooked up well enough with Aero Cove? I think he did. I think these two will have the speed that they'll be able to blitz by these others, and these two will re-inherit the lead of this race. Coco Gamer is now ahead of SSR, and that's how SSR likes it. He says he likes leading in a 2-car tandem. Here we go. Lucas Speed easily overtakes the entire grid. They've not even gotten up to speed coming into the turn 1. So that pretty much brings an end to the first round of green flag pit stops, and now we start to see... Oh, and there's someone in the wall further back in the field. Someone backwards in the wall there, but I don't know who it was. Now, Rockmaro, one of the men involved in it, looks like Prius Killer and maybe Coco Gamer involved as well. So at the very end of green flag pit stops, it looks like there has been a yellow flag for an accident just after the first round of green flag pit stop subside. And for the driver, and this basically puts everyone back on almost the same playing field, although the people who pitted late at the end of that session will have a very slight advantage when it comes to fuel. But I do mean a slight advantage. In fact, as we now is going to take a little bit of time to gather everything back up. But this has actually put everyone back on the lead lap. If that happened one lap earlier, it would have really upset the way things were going. But as we look real quickly when it comes to the fuel telemetry right now, 93% for Ludicrous Speed, and Aerocobe will be under that same strategy. SSR, he pitted along with them. He's also at 93. Raygun versus Zombie, he's in 4th. He pitted a lap later. He's at 96%. He is on the same strategy there with Dino Prime 77, who is now up there in 5th. 6th is TJ. This is Oops Arena in 7th. 89%. Pitted a little bit earlier than most of the other people here. Tire Barrier, 93%. TMS Stingray recovering from that spin out of the lead earlier. He's at 93%. TFB Matter in 10th position. He is at 88%. Tactical Fallout back there in 11th. He is running at 95% fuel. TMS Stirp in 12th. He has 72. He was one of the first people to pit. Xebot 360 back there. He has 68% fuel. Pace car coming in, so we're going to be going green immediately. It was a very, very short yellow flag, and we are going to a double file restart here. Aerocobe, Ludicrous Speed, they've been working well together earlier. How well will they work when they're fighting against each other? Ludicrous Speed has the inside line, Aerocobe inside. Now SSR holds the inside, and the restart has been waved off a lap. So the restart has been waved off for a lap. The field not properly organized at the back of the grid, so we will not be going green until lap 37. Of note, lap 45, actually 46 on the counter, but realistically 45 is the lap that stage points will be given on. So no one should have to pit between now and the end of the first stage of this race. So as we look real quickly once more when it comes to the fuel mileage for the entire field right now, 21st OTR Popping, he's kind of been trapped back there. He's at 90% fuel. 20th FCT Racing, he is running at 89% fuel. 19th is Coco Gamer 11. He is involved in that last instant, 89% fuel. 18th is OTR Anonyms. He is running with 67% fuel, so it's not looking great for him, but he should make it to the stage break. League SRD Shredder or Pulsar, 74% fuel. 16th is Prius Killer. He is running around with 94% fuel. He is also involved in that last instant. Rock Morrow in 15th. He has 89% fuel. Bryant in 14th position. He has 62% fuel. He will likely be the next person to pit. And as I said, Rock Morrow, he has 89%. You also have TMS Stirp. I already hit on him just before I stopped focusing. 71% fuel. So now we prepare to get underway here as we look once more at the lead of the grid. Ludicrous Speed on the inside, Aerocobe on the outside. These two have been nose to tail for most of that last run, but now they're side by side as we come to the green flag. Raygun versus Zombie on the outside. How hard will he push that number 2 blue deuce? SSR behind Ludicrous Speed. SSR has shown some decent competence. Now TJ trying to open up an extreme outside third lane, but no one else wants to do it. Raygun really trying hard not to get washed up into that number 78 car. Everyone's going to get out of turn 2 without incident, though. Ludicrous Speed try to block both lanes at once. He has the inside. SSR goes to the outside. Aerocobe has ditched SSR. So on the back straightaway, SSR and Aerocobe swap positions. And Aero is now behind Ludicrous Speed. Oh, and that's a multi-car incident. 3, 4 cars, and then double zeros rolling over there in turn 3. Multi-car crash. Work, camera, work! And a multi-car incident at the back of the grid. And the double zero has gone through a rollover going into 4. And that'll be the first large multi-car accident of the day. So we are back under the yellow flag here. And Ludicrous Speed, who won his duel and won the Daytona Busch Clash, is trying to do what no one else has done in OSRL. I don't think anyone's ever done it ever in NASCAR history. Win the Clash, win their duel, and win the 350. Right now, Ludicrous Speed is positioning himself in a great position to do just that. The entire field lined up. Now, it looks like we're going to go a single file restart, I'm guessing. Although tire barrier is pulled off farther back in the grid. Now, he rolled over under that last instant. I don't know if anything else has happened or if he's going to be coming into the pits or what. Now, he has just pulled off circuit for whatever reason. But we are back under green flag. SSR is now ahead of Aerocobe. He's splitting the duo that's been so strong. TMS Stingray has gone below the double yellow, and that will likely cost him some positions. Matter, meanwhile, on the outside with tactical fault, trying to make something happen farther back. SSR is going to be the wild card here because he's breaking up the Aerocobe Ludicrous duo that has been very strong at the front for most of the day. Not to mention a bunch of these drivers are all on alternate strategies. Some of them trying to go for stage points. Some of them don't really care that much for stage points. They just want to put themselves in a good fuel strategy position to win this race here. Ludicrous Speed, though, right now leading. Again, lap counter hits 46. That will be the lap that everyone gets points awarded to them. Ludicrous leads. SSR behind him. Aerocobe trying to give him a push. Does the 54 go on the outside? He has an entire train behind him, but will that train stay loyal to him? That's the big question. TMS Stingray now back and forth. That's the highest place he's been all day, although it's the second time he's been up at this point in the event. He's got a good push from behind, but what he really needs is the people ahead to start fighting so he can start trying to close in. Luger Speed just holding a nice tight line. Raygun versus Zombie, though, farther back is going to lose a position by the looks of it. He is having trouble holding the inside line as the top three are now beginning. It's taking a while. It's going to take a while, but the top three are now just starting to split. Ludicrous Speed trying to block the outside going into the corner. SSR not going to be worried too much about it if he continues to hit up with Aerocobe to make things happen here. Now SSR goes to the inside. Does Aerocobe follow? Aerocobe doesn't seem to be that interested in following. So SSR very willing to get by Lucas, but Aerocobe doesn't seem to care as much. Right now, 3 cars involved. That's Matter is one of them. Xebi is another one. And a multi-car incident farther back in the grid. And we may have just had someone lag out as well. I can't verify that yet. Nope, no lag outs. Not yet, at least. But another instant, and we will likely go back under the yellow flag. Yep. Yellow flag is back out. Field pretty much all gathered back up. And again, points will be awarded at the end of lap 46. So when they take the green, it will be 4 laps until the end of the stage. Top 5 in points are the one who get top 5 on the track are the ones who will get points at the end of it, if my memory serves correctly. Yep, top 5. First will get 5 points, second will get 4, third will get 3, fourth will get 2, fifth place will get 1 point. And their green flag, TMS Stingray looking on the outside already farther back in the grid, but no real movement in the top 3 positions. No one's really desperate to get by. Something happened farther back in the grid. You can see several drivers trying to go below the WO to keep their cars straight. But the top 6 already single file out. 3 cars in the outside wall. That didn't take long at all. And Matter is one of them. Oof Serena is one of them. And by the looks of it, I can't see who else it was, but we know those 2 were involved. Matter very nearly going up and over. Going through turn 3, and we'll be back under the yellow flag again. for this. Pace car already back out on circuit. All right. So SSR, who's recovered from a penalty that put him at the back of the grid at high risk of going and dropping off the back of the field and going a lap down, has been able to actually work his way relatively solidly up through the grid today. He is now in second position, but the man who has led the most laps thus far today has been Ludicrous Speed, partially because he has found people who have been willing to work with him, but also partially just because we've run so many laps under yellow flag. As prepared to go underway once again, lap 45. So it will be a 2-lap shootout to the end of the stage. Ludicrous Speed has the position. SSR is hanging out there in second spot. Aero Kobe is in third. TMS Stingray is fourth. There's 3 cars very near the outside wall coming into the corner. Tactical Fallout back there is in fifth position. He knows that he has a chance for maybe winning the championship, but he wants to move up the grid as much as he can. Look at Shredder. He is trying to give a push down the back straightaway as well. There may not be a whole lot of movement at the front, but there's going to be a lot of movement, I think, from about third on back. Aero Kobe is right there behind SSR. TMS Stingray, Tactical Fallout behind. Raygun versus Ame Coco Gamer are fighting for a 6th spot. Those two are fighting to try and get up there and get maybe some points for their championship run. There are a lot of part-time drivers for this season. In fact, almost everyone, second, third, and fourth, basically realize that's likely going to be a part-time run. This is lit. Lap 46. The top 5 at the end of this lap will be the drivers who get points for the top 5 positions. Aero Kobe trying to give a push to SSR. They're trying to figure out if they want to get by Ludicrous Speed or not. I don't think they're going to commit to it. I think the top 3 will stay in line. TMS Stingray is in fourth. He does not have the help necessary to try and do anything. And it looks like Tactical Fallout in fifth is just going to stay just far enough ahead of Rockbarrow that he will secure that 1 point. So as they come across the line, Ludicrous Speed will extend his small lead in the points right now, and he'll win stage 1. It will be SSR second, Aero Kobe third, fourth TMS Stingray, and fifth will be Tactical Fallout. And now everyone goes and begins focusing now on the run to the end of the second stage. Will be on lap 91. SSR continues to hang out in between Ludicrous Speed and Aero Kobe. No real strong effort by anyone there to try and break up the pack. And the entire field has pretty much gone single file throughout the entire grid now. So we were talking about TMS Derp earlier. We know that he is in a position where he'll likely be one of the first people to pit for the next batch of fuel. He is down at 37% right now, and almost everyone else on track is better than him with it. So this could go very, very interesting because he needs to work out with someone else when they're going to pit. Otherwise, he'll run the risk of potentially being trapped laps down. Again, the last round of green flag stops we had, literally just after those green flag stops ended, we had a yellow flag. It bunched the field back up, so it didn't really end up changing the race lineup for a massive way at that moment, as Prius Killer now gets held out to dry on the outside line. But if the field gets spread out enough and we don't have a yellow flag coming immediately after a set of green flag stops, it could spell doom for a lot of these people who went down earlier single file or just by themselves, or went down, were not able to hook up with drafting help. Kazu right on board the bonnet of TMS Derp as tire barrier goes ahead and skirts through there. Oh, and Rockmorrow barrel rolling down the back straightaway, and there's a multi-car incident as Rockmorrow has got barrel rolling. Now OTR Puppy is involved, Tactical Fall is involved. They're still crashing. There's another car very nearly going into turn 3, and they're still wrecking. They're wrecking everywhere as it's nearly a mile and a half long accident going from the start of the back straightaway all the way down the back straight through turn 3 and through turn 4. A massive accident, and Rockmorrow, who went barrel rolling down the back straightaway, will likely get dropped to the back of the grid again. Well, you know, you don't normally get good shots like that, but that was impressive. That was awesome. So we're back under the yellow flag once more. I guess you could say that Rockmorrow has taken the term rock and roll to heart as he went barrel rolling down the back straightaway there in a tremendous incident. Thankfully, the field pretty much gathered back up very quickly. And my guess is the reason that we saw so many different incidents happening as TMS Derp was cutting his way up through the grid. We now see 3 drivers in the back of the grid pitting, coming to the green flag, so they're trying to get off sequence on pit stops. But I think one of the reasons what probably happened is that yellow flags were being called out, and it was causing a bunch of hesitancy. Some drivers trying to jump on the brakes immediately, some of them just trying to coast off. And the massive discrepancies in speed going through the corners led to what looked to be maybe 2 other separate instances. Coco Gamer now trying to work on the outside as Ludicrous Speed now holds the inside. SSR and Aerocobe, though, they're finally making the moves on the outside line. Dino Prime is on the inside. He'll suck up behind Aerocobe. Combs into the outside wall. 2 cars in the outside wall right there going into turn 4. And yellow flag out immediately. SSR still has position. Dino Prime falls back a bit, but it's Aerocobe, one of the men who falls down the grid, and that's not going to help him out whatsoever. Contact between himself and Dino Prime, and he went right around, and for Bryant, in that number, well, what number is that Bryant's in? But Bryant also involved in that, and he's not going to be happy. The men who will be happy with that, though, will be OTR Anonyms, OTR Popping, and Xebot 360. They all now have basically made up the time that they lost pitting under coming to the green flag, so they now have a bit of an advantage over the rest of the field when it comes to strategizing out how to run the rest of this race. It's not necessarily going to be a massive advantage, but will be an advantage that could go in their favor as this goes longer and longer. So the entire field already gathered back up. It seems like the attempt to go from double file restarts to single file restarts is to try and reduce the risk of restart accidents, but it's really not working because most of these accidents aren't happening due to the restart. It seems like people just, as the field starts getting spread out, people get more and more aggressive when it comes to making moves, so that way they don't end up getting hung out to dry and it's leading to chaos. Ludicrous Speed, though, has led the most laps thus far today. Tactical Fallout on the outside, trying to make something happen. And he's already pretty much falling apart. That momentum's just not going anywhere. Now, here we are, I say that. But as I said, that SSR now on the outside with them. Tactical Fall try, give them a push. They're attack very nearly pushing the 54 sideways. It'll be a drag race down the straightaway. Dino Prime pushing Ludicrous Speed. Tactical Fallout pushing SSR. Dino and Tactical are both teammates. They come down a little bit, pinch that inside line. Now TJ is on the inside. Tactical Fallout. The outside lane may have two very competent drafters, but it looks like the inside line is just a little bit better formed at this part in the event. SSR did lead that lap, but the line just barely had his nose ahead. Great run coming out of turn 4, and he carried that masterfully through the tri-oval. But now they go through, and the gap has opened up between the 54 and the 14. Ludicrous Speed back in front without too much issue. Tactical Fallout drifts high, touches the outside wall. That'll scrub off speed. And now with that in mind, SSR has lost a good chunk of his drafting help. He has now fallen back through the grid. It is now Ludicrous Speed, Dino Prime, TTJ, top 3 positions. And it is a little bit more active farther back in the grid. But looks like at the front, everyone's kind of gone single file for the moment. They've kind of figured out where everyone wants to be for the time. This is riding with Tire Barrier. Coco Gamer going to the outside. He knows that SSR is great at leading a 2-car tandem. He wants to go with him on the outside now. Coco Gamer, SSR on the outside. They're trying to close in on Dino Prime and Ludicrous Speed, who are the front 2 men right now. But again, you still have a bunch of drivers on the inside line. It's a faster way around. Everyone's just kind of sucking draft off of each other. The 2-car tandem is one of those things that it's effective, but reaches its greatest effectiveness the longer the green flag runs are and the field gets more spread out. Right now, everyone is still relatively gathered and clumped up together. And Coco Gamer has actually been split from SSR by the Tire Barrier. So Ludicrous Speed continues to lead at this point. Dino Prime kills out in the 2nd position, as now TMS Derp has found Coca. But TMS Derp is in a position that he will have to pit. And now Dino's been hung out to dry on the outside line. So that's not going to help Dino out whatsoever. But again, TMS Derp is the man that we've been using. Oh! Is that an incident? Yeah, it looks like the yellow flag may have fallen. There may have been an instant, and we just didn't get to see it. But that means pit road is closed. And for this man here, TMS Derp, he is the man that we are gauging when it comes to when the next round of green flag stops begin. Well, green flag stops look like they might get very interesting because he is down at only 10% fuel. That's only about 3.5 laps worth under green flag conditions. We may very shortly see him come into pit lane, and after he pits, we'll see a gradual cascade of other drivers pulling off and pitting. That will very abruptly break up the entire lead group. Everyone is still on the lead lap at this point of this race, but that will likely change because there are because there are a lot of people. Mainly the OTR boys at the back and Xebot, they have already made stops well earlier than the rest of the grid. They'll be able to hang out and trap maybe not the entire grid a lap down, but a large part of the field a lap down. As Bryant in 21st finally rushes to catch up to the back of the grid, and we'll be going green this lap. We've not yet crossed the halfway point. Who's pitting and who is not out of the lead group? No one at the front pits, but there we are. As we expected, TMS Derp will be pitting as the green flag is underway now. Again, you cannot pit under the yellow flag. You can only pit as the field comes to the green or under green flag conditions. And immediately this has caused a bit of a split amongst the group as a whole, and we're going to see more and more people pitting as this goes on. But Ludicrous Speed and TJ, the 2 men who dueled side by side for the win for 350 in Season 3 before both of them went into the wall on the last lap in Turn 3, and both lost it. Now they are 1-2 once again at Daytona, with SCT Race in 3rd position trying to push TJ by. But again, the big thing, the big wild card is going to be fuel. Who's pitting, who is not, as we bring up telemetry and the map right now. You can see 2 men in the back of the grid. That is TMS Derp and SRD Shredder. They both decided to pit right away, but no one else at the front of the field is pitting yet. Keyword, of course, being yet. Things could still get very interesting and very chaotic quickly here. But those two who pitted coming to the green flag will have a small advantage over everyone else who pits. And then the OTR men who pitted about a dozen laps or so ago, they also will have an advantage that will be even bigger over most of the rest of the field. So we're very likely to see the field start splitting up into groups very shortly here. As they come across the line, no one else seems to be pitting out of the group right now. But again, the leaders are losing fuel. FCT Racing, he's in third position. He's at 20% fuel. Dino Prime, he'll have a little bit more fuel. He's at 30%. SSR, he's going to be at about 28% fuel. Tire Barrier, he's back there in the 6th spot. He is running around at 23% fuel. Oof Serena is in 7th position. Oof has 16% fuel. Coco Gamer is there in the 8th spot. He waited a long time to pit. He is at 22%. Aero Cobe, he's in 9th. He was one of the last to pit also. He's on 22%. TMS Stingray, he pitted relatively early compared to some of these people, but he's still at 23%. Rockmaro is in 11th spot. He's going to have a respectable, not great, but respectable amount with 16%. Raygun versus Zombie right now, he is running around with 22% fuel. Prius Killer back there in 13th. He has 21%. And then you start getting to the people that can really upset things. OTR and them 67% fuel. TFB Matter, though, it goes the opposite way for him. He's at only 9%. He'll likely be one of the next people to stop. Then behind him is Tactical Fallout. Tactical Fallout is running on 21% fuel. Bryant is going to be somewhere in the middle. He is running at 80. Oh, I'm sorry. Bryant's actually pitted a long time ago. 83% fuel. Exeba also pitted a long time ago. He is running around at 66%. Popping is running with about 66% as well. No one pitted this lap either. But again, we are expecting that Matter will likely be the next person to pit. And he will want other people to come in with him if at all possible. Everyone's running single file right now, and the field is also beginning to gradually splinter apart. It's the two men, though, that you see running on the front straightaway on the little map graphic that's up. They are going to be the wild cards along with the OTR drivers, OTR Anonyms being the leader of that group. They could really upset the way this race goes because we're going to start seeing people pit either this lap or next lap. Coming across the line, does Matter go ahead and pit? OTR Anonyms now goes to the inside of Prius Killer. Prius runs way high up the track. He just can't get back in line, it seems. It's going to let Prius by. It will likely let Tactical Fallout by as well. Bryant might try to fall in line just behind him. And this is a nice little size pack that we know is pretty much going to go away. Now Matter on the inside of OTR Anonyms. Tactical Fallout trying to push his Ford partner. Now he abandons him and goes with Matter to the inside. But again, Matter will likely have to pit this lap. There's just not that much fuel left in the car. Does anyone else elect to pit this lap? Here comes Matter into this pit lane. Is he alone though? Yes, Matter is alone, and this is going to put him in a very bad position going forward. Meanwhile, at the front, it's Lucre Speed, TTJ, and FCT Racing with Dial Prime, SSR, and I couldn't see who that was in 6th. And Tire Barrier all there with them, so it's a 6-car at the front. It's really just a pair of 3-car packs running at the front. The question ends up being who of this group pits and who else in the field elects to pit this lap or not. Oh, no, there's your word. And a bunch of lead guys all decide to come in all at once there. And now everything gets really interesting. Everything goes out the window. Who knows what could happen? Dino Prime now leads with SSR. As we look at their fuel count, Dino Prime is at 13% fuel. SSR pitted a lap earlier, though. He's only at 11. So it's working well enough. SSR likes to do a lot of brake dragging and clutch kicking, and that lets him save a little bit more fuel, so he might be able to go and pit with Dino whenever Dino feels comfortable, but these two are going to be barreling with speed. Raygun back there is leading a pack of a bunch of cars. How many of them will be pitting this lap, though? None of them. Those guys will stay out for a little bit longer. And now everything has gotten really interesting. The field much more spread out at this point. But as I say that, though, you do have this large group of cars. Rockmar is at the back of this group. And about 5 drivers all in position to start fighting with each other here. No one pitted this lap in the lead packs. And there we are. Well, one of our leaders came in and pit, but your actual current race leader right now is actually staying out, but it looks like SSR is staying out by himself. He's out there with OTR Anonyms, but SSR will have to pit, and for SSR this will be rough because this means when he pits, no one else will be on track with him. Oh, wow, that was a lot of smoke. I thought that was an instant there for a moment. So how many of these drivers will be able to overtake the men who are coming out of pit lane? Tire barrier locked on the outside by Oof Serena. And now Rockmaro will close in on them just a bit. Now Coco Gamers hunt out to dry. Oof Serena there. 3, 4 wide into the corner. Multi-car incident. A bunch of drivers involved. Stingray's involved. Rockmaro's involved. He gets speared in the side by Prius Killer. And now he gets hit by Aerocobe as he's bouncing around the circuit. And in the middle of green flag stops, another multi-car accident. Caution is out. And this really upsets the flow of the race because now OTR Anonyms is your race leader, OTR Popping is second, Exeba is third, but now everything has been changed and these 3 men who are leading the race are now in a position where they are now at a disadvantage to everyone else because almost everyone else had just completed their stops. Also, literally, I will say this, if we went another lap under green, we would start seeing people go a lap down because they had lost their drafting partners. And that's something else I do want to go ahead and mention, though. For the likes of SSR U5 AVMP, he's 6 now. This has worked out wonderfully for him, but he was at a risk of going a lap down because he was about to have no drafting help going into another long green flag run. So we stay under the yellow flag for another lap. This will take a while to get the field properly gathered up and ordered up. But again, pace car is out, and that means that the track is closed. Also, we are just about at the halfway point of this race. 70 laps, or about 70.5 laps, is the halfway point for today's event. We will be going green at about the halfway point. As we continue to coast under the yellow flag. As we see 2 men, OTR Anonyms and OTR Popping, along with Exebot, drivers who have not been near the front most of the day, now all of a sudden holding the top 3 positions. So we'll be coming to the green flag this lap here. Alright, coming to the green flag now. Single file restart once again. It seems like I think we've kind of given up on double file restarts altogether. So it's the OTR boys and Xbot on an alternate fuel strategy trying to lead to the green flag. And Xbot immediately abandons working with the OTR boys. But he's kind of forced with it anyway. However, Popping immediately loses to Xbot, and now Shredder is trying to work with TMS Derp on the outside line. They're trying to make something happen to get by OTR. It's going to be a little bit chaotic going down the back straightaway here. Going down the back straightaway, Shredder is trying to make something happen. He's got a lot of speed, a lot of momentum, but he has lost his drafting help. Does he try and make something happen? No, he doesn't, because there's a multi-car incident again in the back of the grid. And you can see TJ now being the one rolling over, and now Matter spins, and he gets into Xbot. And SRD Shredder is going to be leading. That was a mess, to say the least. It looked like the lead 2-3 guys had it figured out. Shredder was staying on the outside to try and drag TMS Derp with him there, but it didn't work. Derp got caught in about a 3-wide scenario going into the corner. They just ran out of room as everyone kind of drifted up the track going into 3, and it led to a multi-car incident. And we are back under yellow flag once more. So OTR Anonyms has lost the lead, lost his help, and he is now in a bad position when it comes to fuel mileage. This is just not working out well for him. The strategy earlier that got him and his teammate near the front is now gradually picking and piecing itself apart, it seems, as we are just past the halfway point of your race today. SRD Shredder leads once again. We thought we wouldn't see him in the lead again, but he is now back in the lead. OTR Anonymous second, Xbot third, SSR once again in fourth. He has proven to be very adept at this plate racing. Donald Prime is back there in fifth. Ludicrous Speed is in sixth. Donald Prime has been into a lot of rough scenarios and has just kind of kept bouncing back and putting himself back into good positions afterwards. As we prepare to go into a green flag once more. Does Anonyms have anything that he can do to Shredder? It's a pair of Fords, actually a trio of Fords, running at the front of the grid, followed by a Toyota. Already getting side by side farther back, because that's Bryant being pushed. Oh, 00! Sideways in the back of the grid! Now, it wasn't the 00, it was a 19, I guess. I'm sorry. It looked like it was the 00. But we'll be back under the yellow flag immediately. Cautions breed cautions, is what they say. Alright, coming to the green flag once more. Lap 74, realistically 73, but technically by Forza's lap counter 74. And again, of remembrance, stage points will be awarded at the end of lap 91. So that's still up for play. SRD Shredder leads OTR as SSR is trying to hold off a charge from behind. Ludicrous Speed goes to the outside. And SSR goes, there's Xebot, he's in the wall with Ludicrous Speed. That's a big rollover in the middle of the field, and a bunch of drivers plow into him. And Xebot, with a massive rollover accident, hit while flipping, coming out of the corner after getting together with Ludicrous Speed, and that will drop him to the back of the grid. SSR was almost like a cork holding up a bunch of great runs behind. He couldn't block them all, but he sure tried, and that try led to an incident that saw the number 88 Ford go rolling over in turn 2. So Shredder once again leading this race with OTR Anonymous second and SSR now in third position with Bryant fourth. And we've also said that's one of the other things to consider. A lot of people are saying, hey, this will be a race of veterans. Veterans will have a great position today. That does not seem to be the case because 3 of our top 4 drivers are newcomers who have not run with these drivers or on this circuit with these cars before. Alright, well the field's pretty much all gathered up at this point as we see Icky 1975, the pace car driver, bring it into pit lane. He's only 55 laps down, a 75 lap race, so that tells you he's been out on track for about 20 circuits today as Shredder leads him to the green flag once more. Ray Gun farther back, immediately trying to make some stuff happen. SSR in third position. Will he work with OTR Anonyms? You see Raygun on the outside with Coco Gamer. But they're the only 2 working the outside right now. 3 wide, farther back in the grid. It looks like they'll keep it all together for the moment. Anonym Shredder now opening up a gap on the rest of the grid just a bit. Bryant pulls up behind SSR. They're going to try a little bit of a slam drafting as it's Ford's first through fourth on the circuit now. Well, not first through fourth, I'm sorry. First, second, and fourth. And here comes around the outside. That is SSR. He's got to run on the OTR drivers. Now he's trying to make something happen against Shredder. Shredder has no direct drafting help going into the corner. 3 cars on the outside. Anonym's not close enough to really give Shredder a push. This could be interesting. We could see SSR go from being last place to leading laps here. Flying down the back straightaway. SSR will take the lead and he'll drag Bryant with him. For a first time, Shredder loses the lead at Daytona, not from losing the inside line, but just being beaten by someone. Now Shredder's lost the inside line. He drifts up high just a bit. Will anyone try and work with him? I see OTR Anonyms trying to make something happen, but I don't know if it's going to work all that well. OTR popping also on the outside, trying to make something happen. Dino Prime, though, has swapped to the inside lane. He wants to use it to close in on your lead group. Anonyms comes up the circuit, blocks Shredder's momentum. Shredder kind of doesn't care. He's got to muscle his nose on the outside. Anonyms still giving him a push. 3 cars on the outside and a decayed line on the inside. Shredder is putting it all together right now Dino Prime giving the Ford and the Toyota ahead of him a push. So it's a Chevy, Ford, Toyota on the inside lane. It's a Ford pretty much by himself now on the outside. The outside line is decayed behind Shredder. So how long now does SSR stay in the race lead with an entire pack of cars behind him? It's about a 7-car pack at the front right now. Aerocobe has finally worked his way back into the lead group also. I forgot to mention that. He'll fall in line, yes, behind Shredder. Shredder is there behind OTR Popping. And also of note, OTR Popping and OTR Anims, they finally have found each other again. But again, they are on a worse fuel strategy than just about everyone else on track with them. In fact, as we pull up their telemetry right now, 16%. So those two will have to pit likely in the next 5 to 10 laps. In fact, if we're going through about 3% of fuel per lap, they'll have to pit in the next 5 laps. They're in 4th and 5th positions. They're not in a great spot for either Shredder or 7th place Aerocobe. Right now, I think the men in the top 3 spots are in a great position going forward. That would be SSR, Bryant, and Dino. Of course, it also comes down to where their fuel is at. Dino is at 65. Bryant is at 55. SSR, well, it's a little bit different for him. He's at 67. So Dino could work very well with SSR, but not so with Bryant. Bryant getting really aggressive, trying to get by SSR right now. As we ride out the back of our race leader, now Dino Prime has gotten overtaken by OTR Anonyms and Popping as Dino's gotten held out to the outside line. And once again, rookies take the top 4 positions on track. We honestly thought we'd see veterans leading most of the day, and while Lucas has led most of the race, we've seen the top 3 to top 5 positions being populated by newcomers and rookies for large stretches of today's run. OTR Anonyms, OTR Popping looking to see if they can figure out a way by Bryant, as it is now Ford's running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Dino Prime falls in line ahead of Shredder right now, but those two are on alternate fuel cycles at the moment. Bryant just seems to be content to run behind your race leader for the moment. Another smaller pack farther up. And who is that ahead? That seems to be lap traffic. And we saw earlier how much chaos lap traffic caused when the pack caught them earlier. And that seems to be just one person. And I think that's Xebot 360. Real quickly as we look a little bit farther back in the grid, some other fights going on back here in the mid to back of the field. Although it looks like, as I say that, they've all kind of single-filed out at this point. Dino Prime trying to make something happen against the OTR boys, trying to close back in on SSR, because he knows that SSR is on a similar fuel strat. And there comes the OTR boys. They now come into pit lane, so Shredder, Dino Prime now left to try and tandem draft up to the front. First and second, you're not allowed to tandem draft if you are the first 2 cars on the track, but if you're 3rd and back, you can tandem draft as much as you want. This works out well for the likes of Shredder and Dino. As you see, Bryant and SSR now coming up on lap traffic, but again, SSR can go longer on fuel than Bryant can, and Dino can go longer on fuel than Shredder can, I believe, as well. Although Shredder and Dino seem to be having just a little bit of trouble staying properly hooked up. And now we see Bryant just cuts in front of that number 20. Not the number 20, I'm sorry, number 88. Who's 21st right now? Oh, TMS Stingray. Stingray must have pitted also and has already been a lap down. He might have fallen way off the pack, I guess. So the field's now split up into a lot of 2 and 3 car packs. The challenge right now is for Dino and Shredder to try and get by Xebot with as much speed as possible to run down the 2 race leaders. But again, these 2 are not hooked up as well as you'd think. Now they hook up in a 3-car train with Xebot, so they'll use the lap traffic to try and pull up just a bit. But now Xebot's also just close enough to Bryant that also is going to make it way harder for Dino and Shredder to get by the 88 machine. And TJ is leading a 5-car pack behind them as well. And that pack could also play havoc, maybe not with the race leaders, but at least against Shredder and Dino. The OTR drivers have not yet gone a lap down at this point in the event, though. Things could, although you can see them farther up, they're trying to do a little bit of drafting between themselves just to stay ahead of the lead group. Dino Prime sucks right up behind that Ford of Xebot. And now we have a 10-car train, 1st to 9th, and a lapped car playing hooky in the middle of it. I don't think hooky is the proper term, but lap 88 of 141. So about 43 laps to go. For most of these drivers, there will be one more stop today, considering that you can go about 30 laps on fuel. There will be some people, obviously, who will be trapped to probably having to make 2 stops. Xebot in a good position. If a yellow flag comes out, he'll be able to get back on the lead lap. Dino shuffles Xebot to the outside. It took a long time, but it's finally happened. Xebot left high to dry. He'll fall in line behind Shredder, just in front of TJ. So now, top 4 all in the line. SSR taking a high line, and that let Dino pop to the outside. Shredder is going to go working with him. Xebot's on the outside as well. He wants to work with them as well. Dino side by side with Brian for a 2nd spot. Shredder is pushing him. Xebot's pushing both of them. TJ trying to close in. He wants to mess with this scenario and put himself in a good spot on track position. Xebot now beginning to lose positions. He's fallen to the inside. TJ's gone to the outside as well. But the outside line's not got a whole lot of good momentum or discipline right now. It's falling apart. Dino, Shredder back to just holding the outside line. In fact, Xebot still has the inside line, and it's going to cause some problems for Shredder by the looks of it. Dino holding the outside, trying desperately to drag that 1-0 with him around the outside. It's just not working as well as he'd want it to. Coco Gamer is being held up. He's actually fallen off this group, and now Dino has lost Shredder altogether. Dino has caught Bryant, and Bryant will have to pit before him. Dino will be back with SSR, and they can pit together. But the counterpoint to that scenario, though, is that Bryant is really going to be a bit of a havoc, because if Bryant doesn't let Dino close in just enough to the top 2, then when Bryant does pit, Dino might not be able to suck up to SSR and push the 2 of them forward. Who was at the pitted? That was Shredder. And Oof Serena and Tire Bearer, they pit 9th, 10th, 11th all together now. Still an 8-car lead pack with a wild lapped car in the middle of it as well. And not just that, all these drivers are at risk of barreling down very shortly on drivers who've already pitted. Last 2 times we had green flag pit stops, though, a yellow flag fell right afterwards to bunch the field up. If that doesn't happen this time, though, this could get really interesting. Dino is at 28% fuel. Your race leader right now, SSR, is using clutch kicking to conserve fuel. Normally, leading a train makes you burn more fuel, but the 54 who is leading is staying off the throttle and clutch kicking so much he's actually gaining fuel. He's actually just a bit ahead of Dino. Meanwhile, 2nd place, who is Brian, he is only at 16% fuel right now. He will have to pit, and when he does, that could really upset this lead group. Now here we are. They're all going to go around the outside Tire Bearer, so Tire will go a lap down. There's just simply nothing you can do about it. 3 wide in SNL. Xebot's right there in the middle of it, and they're into the wall. Xebot into the wall, almost goes over again. Yellow flag is out. And now things are going to get really weird because that was just in the middle. It wasn't at the end of the green flag pit stop. It was right in the middle of it. There were a bunch of drivers who were not ready to pit for another few laps. There were some who were just about to pit. This is going to continue to upset things, and everyone who was a lap down, Exebot, Rockmaro being the two of them that caused the yellow flag, they're not going to get to cycle around to the back of the grid. All right, please stand by for 20 seconds for station identification. Alright, so everything's gotten really weird now, to say the least. And the field's still not gathered up. They're going to be really close to being gathered up, but I don't think they'll be quite gathered up yet. So we're likely going to stay another lap under the yellow flag. Your current leader right now is SSR, as we will go ahead and bring up the telemetry to see how much fuel everyone has. 26% for SSR. Second place is Brian. He's going to be running around 14% right now, so he'll have to pit in the next 4 laps more than likely. Dino Prime, he is running at 24%. Fourth place is TTJ. TJ, he is running with 12% fuel. Tactical Fallout is in the 5th position. TAC has 20% fuel. 6th is Aerocobe. Aerocobe has 11% fuel. 7th is Coca Gamer 11. Coca is running with 13% fuel. Rockmar is in the 8th position. He has 11% fuel. 9th is Raygun versus Zombie. Raygun is running with 21% fuel. 10th is FCT Racing. He is running with only 9% fuel. He's almost guaranteed to pit either coming to the green flag or shortly afterwards. SRD Shredder pitted relatively early. He is at 91% fuel right now. 12th is OTR Anonyms. Anonyms at 68% fuel. He is there with Popping, his teammate, who is also running with about, 67% fuel. Then behind them is TMS Derp. Derp was on sync with Shredder earlier. He is at 81%. He is now off sync. Matter is in the 15th spot. He is running with 81% fuel. 16th is Prius Killer. Prius is running with 84% fuel. 17th, Oof Serena. Serena is running with 91% fuel. 18th is Tire Barrier. Tire is running with 90% fuel. 19th is Exebot 360. He has 55%. 20th in Ludicrous Speed. Ludicrous is at 86%. Last place, TMS Stingray, he is running with 65% fuel. As we look to the lead of the field once more, SSR will be leading the field to the green flag. And he is leading at least part of the field into pit lane. So this is going to get interesting. A bunch of drivers are pitting out of the front spot. Dino Prime and Shredder will be taking the green flag. Everything's gone out the window now when it comes to strategies. So Dino Prime now will be leading with SRD Shredder here at Daytona. But for how long? Fuel is going to be a big thing. Another thing to consider, though, is that the entire field is now split in two. And by two, I mean 2 different fuel strategies. Everyone who already pitted will have to pit again. Everyone who is still on track, though, is going to have to hope that they can make it last. You can go about 29 laps on fuel. With that in mind, if you could make it to about lap 113 with what is currently in the tank, you will only have to make one more stop, and that would be a massive benefit going to the end of this race for track position. Who in this lead group pits this lap? The answer as they come across the line is going to be a big fat nobody. Everyone here in the top group is going to stay together. Everyone just trying to save fuel right now. The top 12 is split away from the back 9 right now, and the rear 9 have all kind of already begun degenerating farther back. It would appear this pack here in the lead is very well put together for the moment. Dino Prime, OTR Anonyms, SRD Shredder, OTR Popping. I think the OTR boys may be in a great position when it comes to fuel mileage. They have some of the best when it comes to fuel at the moment right now at the lead. Dino Prime, it must be noted, only doesn't have a whole lot of fuel left right now. He will have to pit sooner rather than later. He's only at 16%, so he'll likely have to pit at about lap 100, and with that in mind, he'll have to make another stop afterwards unless we run a bunch of laps late in this event under the yellow flag. Behind him, though, is SRD Shredder, and Shredder, who is there in third position, although he doesn't have the fuel and makes it to the end, he is at 81%. He is full control when it comes to deciding when he wants to stop or not. He has put himself in a great position. The men in between him and Dino, that's OTR and NMs, and his teammate OTR popping. They're both at 57% fuel. It's really going to be iffy for the OTR boys. I think Shredder might be in a great position. The counterpoint to that, though, is that Shredder might be in such a good position, no one might be able to work with him. OSRL has kind of split up the pack farther back. He's having a bit of trouble keeping up with the lead group. So we now see two packs. There's three wide there going through the tri-oval. Lucas Speed scoots by on the inside as he is working with the tire barrier. Prius Killer now is going to fall behind Serena. He's going to fall behind TMS Stingray. And that's Xeba even farther back, who must have gotten into the wall. He has totally lost touch with that lead group. So a group of 11 in a single car, and then about half a lap down is another group of 9 drivers, and those 9 drivers do have a significant track advantage, but they all will have to pit again. They need to stay hooked up and drafting as best as possible if they want any chance to really make up half a lap. They need to make up half a lap between now and the end of the race if they really want to make this work out, and even at that, it might be iffy how well this works out for them. Strategies all out on the table right now. But it's lap 99 at the front. Dino Prime 77 leads, and he started to form a small breakaway with OTR Anonyms and SRD Shredder. OTR popping just barely hanging on to life on the back of that group. Dino Prime, though, will have to pit sooner rather than later. When he does, he will likely fall. Maybe not necessarily a lap down instantly, but he will likely fall close to being a lap down to a lot of these other drivers on track. This is the most spread out the field has been today. The top 4 all by themselves, and now everyone from 5th back to 11th have all kind of gathered back together in a pack of their own. Dino Prime, will he make it another lap, or will he pit this lap? And when he pits, will he be joined by anyone else? He is at 4% fuel. He will have to pit this lap. It takes you about 3% to complete a circuit around here. Actually, it's closer to about like 3.2%, I think. So Dino Prime for sure will be pitting this lap. Will anyone be joining him? As we look at the telemetry, no, he is the only man in the lead group to pit. I repeat, Dino Prime pitting solo. He will be left without a drafting partner. And with 40 laps to go, this honestly puts the number 77 at risk of going a lap down as this race goes on. Now Shredder and the OTR men are running in a 3-car pack of their own. They'll be nice and stable amongst each other, although they all are on slightly different strategies when it comes to their fuel. So Dino Prime now comes out, but he will rejoin the grid dead last, 21st position. TMS Derp, 4th spot now. He is going to be the next kind of wild card as he leads this second group behind the top 3. He is at 55% fuel. Compare that to the OTR men ahead. They are at 41%. Compare that to Shredder, who is running in second. He is at 64%. So he will likely catch Shredder after the OTR drivers pit, but then will have to stop himself shortly afterwards. So fuel strategy has become very, very bizarre at this point in the event. I don't know why it says Raygun has gone 391 miles an hour. That is 100% not accurate. But you can see there, SSR U5, he is leading that second group of cars, the ones that pitted coming to the green flag. They are the ones trying to make up ground on this trio here of OTR Anonymous, OTR Popping, and SRD Shredder, as the group behind is trying to close back in. They've all lost ground, but they're trying to make it back up. Shredder seems to be trying to make a bit of a split, though, between the OTR men. Okay, so as it stands right now, you burn through about 3% fuel every lap. You need to make it about 9 more laps. If you can make it 9 more laps with the tank that you have, you should be able to not have to worry about stopping more than once. Shredder easily will make that. I think the OTR guys might be able to make that work out as well. They're at 34%. It will be close for OTR Anonyms and OTR Popping. They need to make it work, but if they can make it and pit on lap 112, it will be close on fuel for them, but they will be good to the end. That is, of course, assuming we stay green to the end of this race. If we have a yellow flag, that throws everything out the window. Once again, everyone might consider jumping in, immediately coming to the green flag, and although that would put everyone in a scenario where a lot of people would have to start saving to make it to the end, it would also put everyone in a high likelihood of seeing a lot of restart accidents coming to the end of this race. Yeah, at the rate it's going, I think the OTR boys will just make 30 to go. Will just make 29 to go. You can go about 29 laps on a full tank of fuel here. And I think that's exactly what these boys are going to hit at. Shredder has a lot more in the tank, a lot more in the reserve, but he'll likely pit with the OTR drivers if he feels that working with them benefits him more than trying to work with something else or staying out later. Typically, you want to be the first driver to make the last round of pit stops for this race here. SSR has actually lost ground to this lead trio. They were only about half a lap down. Now they're a little bit more than that down. So the top three, not only are they doing great when it comes to potential fuel gains, they are actually closing in a bit on the rest of the field. Actually, I'm sorry, I got confused. No, I'm sorry. SSR is actually closing a small amount on the lead group. I apologize for that. I got my information wrong. "34 laps to go. OTR Anonymous, OTR Popping, trying to make it 5 more laps on the fuel they currently have in the tank. And with 24 right now, I think it's almost a guarantee that they'll make it. But TMS Derp has led a contingency behind, and they are all within striking distance. If there's an incident among the two OTR drivers, and if Shredder joins them and also causes a further incident, it would lead those 4 farther back to become the new drivers to capitalize and be in a good position on fuel going to the end here. "20% left. Shredder into the inside of Anonyms. Ran OTR Anonyms up the circuit, and Popping is going to work with them. Oh, no, he's not. Popping aborts. He abandons his teammate. Shredder goes in the lead now. So Anonyms now loses the lead to SRD Shredder. Popping falls behind him. And that little bit of fighting will let that group farther back close in just a bit. But again, these drivers, their main focus needs to be to just make it to the end, make it to as far as they can on this fuel, or at least make it to lap 112. 113 would obviously be ideal because then you're guaranteed, but 112, you can make it around the entire circuit and you'd basically be coasting on fumes across the start-finish line. 113 is ideal, 112 is good enough, pretty much. Shredder runs really, really wide coming out of the corner there. This gives the OTR drivers a possible chance to try and make something happen, and as these 3 are all jockeying for a position, it's let that group that they pulled away from earlier close in a bit. Shredder holding the inside line, Anonyms behind him, Popping behind him, but the OTR drivers can't seem to quite yet figure out how to do a perfect tandem draft to get around. TMS Derp is leading a big charge up on them. Lap 110 right now, Anonyms at 13% fuel. I think the OTR boys will make it. They will only have to make one more stop to the end of this race. Everyone on track, I think by this point, will only have to make one more stop to race in. I say that Exebot is in pit lane right now. Exebot is not looking good for him. He's going to need some yellow. Otherwise, he will likely have to pit with 2 laps to go here. Shredder, your race leader, as it come across. 31 laps to go at the moment. TMS Derp, TFB Matter, and it looked like, I think that's Tire Bear. Yeah, it's Tire Bear. 4th, 5th, and 6th all closed in a bit. So what had been a 12-car group that stayed out, they've all kind of splintered to pieces at this point into just a bunch of 3-car groups. Lucas Speed back there in 7th, but he's lost touch with the drivers ahead. It's not looking good for him. His chances of another 350 win are slipping away. All right, it is now lap 112 for the OTR drivers. This is it. They can pit this lap, and they will be good to the end. How much fuel do they have? 6%. They're good. They can pit this lap, and they will be good to the end on fuel. For Shredder, he can go a little farther if he thinks it would benefit him, but I imagine he'll try and pit with the OTR duo in order to keep working with them. Also to potentially maybe stay ahead of him on track. There we are. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, coming into the pit lane. So that gives Matter your race lead now. Where do these drivers show up on track in relation to Dino Prime, and where do these drivers show up on track in relation to SSR? No, SSR is pitting now. So SSR is pitting now. He realizes that now is the best time to pit. You pit now, you make it to the end on fuel, but there's a bunch of incidents coming out of pit lane. That was messy on exit, and Shredder ends up ahead of the OTR boys once again. Lucas Speed also joined them on pit lane. So he's obviously hoping that he can make something happen, but no one else was with him. I think these 3 are now the ones, if we stay green to the end, these 3 are the ones who are in the best positions now. Ray Gun versus Zombie at risk of going a lap down. I'm sorry, that's Tactical Fall who's just going to lap down. Ray Gun versus Zombie at risk of going a lap down. No, it's Dino Prime. Game won't give me accurate information. Dino Prime, who is been left out on his own with no one to work with him, about to go a lap down more than likely, to TMS Derp. And right now your race leader, TMS Derp, trying to position himself well enough, as the field very spread out at this point in the event. Dino Prime just wants to stay ahead of this too. It's Matter, Derp, and Tire Bearer who is gradually falling off the back of this duo. They're all about to barrel down on Oof's Arena. For Dino Prime, he's going to want to try and hook up with someone in this group. He's running wide to let the leaders by. He'll likely hook on to the draft of the leaders, so when they catch up to this group here that's been a lap down, Dino can work up, and team up with them. So Dino not posing too much issues. Tire Bear actually uses the hold up to close back in on the lead too. Coming into the pits, here we go. Leaders, cut back in. And that did not work out well for Dino Prime because he was not able to stick to those drivers long enough to pick up drafting help. So now the question is, do these drivers lose their positions to the OTR men? There goes Aero Cobe. Okay, yeah, sure. That definitely is a thing that happens in real life. Yeah, absolutely. So Tire Bearer now ahead of Derp and Matter. Aero Cobe leads your race, as he is drafting off of TJ, who is a lap down. When it comes to fuel, Cobe, 26%. He will have to pit again. And this has gotten very interesting because the next driver on track is Tire Barrier, and he has somehow hooked up with Shredder. But has Tire Barrier made his final stop? The answer, yes. In fact, Tire Barrier is the wild card because Shredder and the OTR drivers are there with him, and they've actually just abandoned him, so Tire Barrier gets freight trained by that trio. He's close enough to still have some draft, but it looks like Shredder is leading the OTR boys now. as we are in the closing stages of this race, everyone has pretty much made their final stop with the exception of Aerocobe. So the question now is just when does Aerocobe make his pit stop and relinquish the lead back to the Brit, SRD Shredder. Shredder won the championship in the truncated Season 4. Has a win at the Miami Oval in a brief split-off series, but beyond that, no wins on ovals. He's trying to turn that around today. But the OTR boys behind will likely work together to try and push Anonyms around Shredder if they feel it would benefit them. Fourth place has completely lost touch with the leaders at this point. It is a 3-car sprint to the end of this race here, and when they come across the line, well, actually, the leader is Kobe, and as Kobe has crossed the line, we are looking at 23 laps to go. Looks like it will be kind of a look back to the Season 1 Daytona season opener, back when it was only a 250-mile race. The last third of that event was under green flag conditions. We're looking at a scenario here where it looks like about the last quarter of this race will be under green flag conditions. SCT Racing trying to hold off. TMST ran into the wall! 3-4 car accident! And everything is up in the air now! Oh, wow! Christ! And will that be a yellow flag? Yep, it's a yellow flag for Aero Cobre. That worked out well, though, because he will be able to... He pitted just before that incident happened. And everything I said about this race looking like it might go to the end now is irrelevant. Dino Prime really benefits from this, though. He will get to go back onto the lead lap. And now with 22 laps to go, this is where chaos begins. Dino Prime will get back on the lead lap, but the question for him, fuel, does he need a pit again? The answer, no, he should be good to the end. So with that in mind, fuel will no longer be an issue today. All the strategy for fuel has actually worked out well, though, I would imagine, for the OTR drivers and Shredder. Shredder led some laps early, but drifted to the back, led some laps mid-race, and kind of drifted out as the field split up under fuel strategy. And now he is back in the lead once again with 2 newcomers to the series behind him, and then another newcomer behind him, the Natter, who's in 5th. He's a veteran of NASCAR racing, but his experience was in the Busch series, support series / developmental series for his lead, not in this itself. Shredder has more experience in OSRL than anyone else in the top 5 right now. As we stay under the yellow flag for another lap, 6th place is Tire Barrier, and he is the man with the next most amount of experience here on track. But even then, Tire Barrier also is... this has just gotten really, really interesting. Because there are a lot of newcomers that can really upset this. Again, everyone was saying, oh yeah, veterans have the advantage. Veterans will be dominating this race. Well, Shredder is fighting with ludicrous speed for leading the most laps today. Also, I totally ignored the end of the second stage. I do apologize on that. Hopefully we can go back later and take a look at that at least. Yeah, 7th is Ludicrous Speed. Ludicrous only has 2 points-paying victories in a normal race, although he has won both the Clash, which is not points-paying, and then his duel last week, which was points-paying, but like it's not normally a considered race. And Ludicrous Speed trying to break the meme that he's only able to win at Daytona, at Lime Rock. He has shown some incredible success at Daytona recently, this month, and he's trying to finish it up, doing what no one else has done before: win the Clash, win his duel, and win the season opening race at Daytona. AK 1975 will come down into pit lane. Everyone should be fueled up. And when we go green, it's still single file. I'm guessing we're doing single file restarts to the end of this race. There's one driver in the back of the grid who pits, likely low on fuel, so that will likely factor him out. Green flag is underway, though. The OTR drivers staying in perfect line behind SRG Shredder. Behind, though, on the outside, TMS Derp looks to the outside. He has great run, trying to get around Popping. It's not going to work. Yes, it does work. He barely squeaks in line behind them, but now Popping comes back down. He's on the inside. There's two cars. There's a near rollover by Tactical File in the back of the grid. Boy, and I thought we were going to see an incident in third position. I didn't think it would be the back of the grid that would wreck themselves. But that seems to be what's happened. And for the man who pitted coming to the green flag, that would be FCT Racing. He is now in a decent position, won't have to worry about fuel, and he'll be caught up to the back of the grid once more. The Shredder is now just coasting around the grid, waiting to catch the safety car wherever he is right now. Alright, so at the front is Shredder, Anonyms, Popping. TMS Derp was not able to hold on to not able to hold on to third apparently, so he'll be restarting fourth, but we know he's good on restarts. Fifth place will still be TFB Matter. Sixth place Tire Bear, seventh place Lucre Speed, eighth place Oof Serena, ninth place Aerocobe, 10th place Prius Killer. Coming to the green flag, as we'll follow Popping particularly to see if he's at risk of being overtaken. What in the world? Alright, so the restart is waved off for another lap for some reason. I have no idea why. Everyone's been gathered up. But the restart is waved off for one more lap. Strange. Alright, so we'll be coming now to the green flag this lap, I believe. And will be 17 laps to go. Pace car should be pulling off. Yep, there we are. Pace car pulls off. And green flag once again. A big break from 3rd to 4th, and TMS Derp launches out of the tri-oval. He's powering on the outside. He has Matter working with him. That might have been just enough to maybe get him by one, if not both of the OTR drivers. A 5-car breakaway at the front. N&M sideways in front of Popping. TMS Derp trying to come down ahead of him. He needs to come down now because there's no one there to help him. Matter is on the outside, willing to give the 33 a push, but he's not close enough to give him a strong push. Matter has to give up. He falls in line behind Tire Barrier, so now Tire Barrier is in the 5th position. Derp trapped on the outside, no one willing to help him out. Single car incident in the back of the grid. Might have turned into a 2-car. I think a second guy might have gotten involved. Yep. Yellow flag back out onto the circuit. Oh, wow, that was a mess. Christ alive, the pace car was expecting the field to be going way slower, and they were already barreling on top of each other, going to the tri-oval. I don't know how that didn't turn into a big one under the yellow flag, but somehow we avoided it. It'll take a while to get the field properly gathered up before this next restart here, as a 2-car incident in the back of the grid puts us under the yellow flag once more today. But it seems like Shredder, OTR Anonyms, and OTR Popping are the dominant drivers right now, as they have been holding 1st, 2nd, and 3rd pretty much for the last 30-plus laps. Pretty much since the restart right before our last long green flag run, honestly. And for Shredder, this works out well. Shredder says he doesn't like having to deal with long green flag runs at Daytona. He struggles with focus. Also says that caused him to black out. I don't know why the heck that's a thing, but he says it caused him to black out. All these periods under yellow flag, without a doubt, working out in his favor. Alright, coming to the green flag. Once again, we'll focus on 3rd place Popping to see if he gets overtaken this time or not. As they come to the line, 14 laps to go. Tire Barrier not as good on Poppy's in the outside wall, right in front of the field. And he's hit by someone else. And we see that 25 gets involved as well. And your 3rd place man is dumped, coming to the green just after the green flag. And we stay green. So it looks like a single car incident, all things considered. So now Shredder and Anonyms have lost someone that they were very happy with. Look at Tire Barrier. Now he's giving OTR Anonyms in 2nd a workout. Riding out the back of SRD Shredder's machine, Aero Cove now sneaks by Tire Barrier. OTR Anonyms holds on to 2nd. TMS Derp trying to make an extreme outside line work farther back, but it's frankly just not happening. No one's there to work with him. Anonyms has lost his biggest drafting help at this point in the event, his teammate. And it's unknown how much Aeroco will help him try to get around SRD Shredder. They're still too wide farther back in the grid. Anonyms being very aggressive with defending 2nd spot. Very nearly gets spun out twice there alone. As we ride now on board with Aeroco, who is in 3rd, trying to push Anonyms up to Shredder, but it's really just not working out in the way he needs it to. They seem to be killing each other's momentum more than actually getting a good push going. Tire Barrier holding out in 4th position. As nearly the entire field runs in single file train. The top 11 cars, by the looks of it, all in a single file train. If we stay like this going to the end of this race, any incident with the leaders, and we could see someone in the midfield walk out of it with a victory here. I don't think that will happen, though. I think just because of the way the draft works in this game, we're going to see this long-ass train gradually disintegrate over these last 12 laps. The real focus is first, second, third, and fourth. Tire barrier giving Aerocobe a push. Aerocobe trying to give OTR and Anonymous a push, but Anonymous just not able to keep it together. Lucas Speed aborting the inside lane. He wants to go high, wants to form a high lane to make something happen, but it doesn't look like anyone's willing to go with him, so now he has to fall back in line in 6th position. Bryant now on the outside. Now he's held out to dry as Lucas is going to get by him, so Bryant now dropped to the outside. TJ is going to try and make an outside line work now. If you're anywhere not in the top 3 positions, you have to be starting to make your moves now to get forward in the draft. The problem is, Shredder is just running a very, very respectable line right now. He's not left himself open yet to instead. Oh, the tire barrier's around in the grass back there. Single car incident, and we stay green. But that has caused a bit of a split. Cobe has dropped off OTR Anonymous, and now Lucas Speed has lost the touch with the top 3 just a bit. Aerocobe now needs to try and hook back up with Anonymous. Lucas Speed now dragging the rest of that pack up, but now it's only a 9-car pack at the front of the grid. We stay green. Lucas Speed has caught Cobe, giving him a push. For Lucas, he wants to see one, if not more than one, of the people farther up start dropping off, spinning out, or just being trapped on the outside line. Otherwise, he will gradually get pushed away from the top 3 group. Bryant's trying to make something happen farther back in the grid right now. From the helicopter camera, or more like the heli-drone camera, Lucas now looking to the outside of Aerocobe. He just does not feel confident in sticking with the inside line. He thinks the inside line is just too stagnant in the top 3. He thinks that if they can just get a line going on the outside, they'll make more progress. Lucas has TJ giving him a push on the outside. It'll be 7 laps to go at the line. Prius Killer actually has ended up closing in, and he'll slot in ahead of Lucas Speed and TJ. So now Prius is the man in 4th position. Does Aerocobe and Anonymous have a strategy they can work out to try and navigate around SRD Shredder at the lead? Shredder a little bit high coming out of the tri-oval that time. Single file, 1st to 6th, 7th and 8th now starting to fall off the lead group. Aerocobe right there behind Anonymous. But it seems like Anonymous is just having trouble keeping the car steady through the corners. When we hit lap 140 out of 141, there will be no more yellows. The last 2 laps of this race must be run under green flag. Now, if we are under yellow already coming into lap 140, well, we'll automatically go green lap 141 regardless of what happens. That actually was a scenario that saw TJ and Lucas Speed lose their shot at the 350 back in Season 3. They were side by side on a 1-lap shootout, and they got into each other going into turn 3. And with the field all packed up, although no one else hit them and they all kept their cars straight, it just let the inside line pull up. And we have a caution. Yellow flag back out on the circuit. I did not catch what it was this time, sadly. But we are back under the yellow flag. And on lap 137, 141, we may only have a 3 or 4 lap shootout to the end of this race. Two newcomers hold second and third position right now. But it's a veteran, someone who made his first start at Brands Hatch in Season 1. He is the one leading the race right now. SRD Shredder. Eighth place, caught up to the back of the grid now. 9th, 10th, all caught up. Looks like everyone back to about 16th position is already pretty much caught up. We may be going green this lap. And if we go green on lap 138, it'll be a 4-lap shootout to the end of this event. Yep, everyone's caught up. We could go green this lap. If we do, it will be a 4-lap shootout. 10 miles to the end at Daytona. SRD Shredder leads OTR Anonyms. As we continue to focus on third place seems to be at the biggest risk of losing positions right now. Kobe gives OTR a big shove coming to the green flag. They're not able to transition the momentum out of the tri-oval though. Shredder still leads. 2 cars below the double yellow farther back, but they keep it straight and we stay green. No, we don't. Yellow flag back out already. Or is it? Are we still racing? No, we're racing apparently. No, we're not. Never mind. We are not racing. So we are under the yellow flag. And the field's not gathered up. So it looks like we'll be looking at a 2-lap shootout here for the 350. SRD Shredder leading. In the first Daytona season opener, back when it's still a 100-lap race, the leader at the white flag won the race. In Season 2, the leader at the white flag did not. In Season 3, the leader at the white flag did not. In Season 4, the leader at the white flag did. If you factor in the July races, it normally works out a little bit more often in favor of the race leader. But for the season opener, it's a 50-50 chance if you're basing just off of history. They'll be coming to the green flag. One shot, green, white checkered, and it doesn't matter what happens, it will be green to the end. SRD Shredder leads OTR Anonymous and AeroCobe. Those 3 have been in that position for about the last 10 laps. Kobe has been giving Anonymous great shoves, but they've not been able to transmit that into a gain around or even alongside the number 10 U.S. Army machine of SRD Shredder. Ludicrous Speed is in 5th, but it looks like he is going to be locked out of sweeping speed weeks for OSRL. Out of the final corner they come. It'll be 5 miles, 2 laps here at Daytona. Shredder just needs to keep that car attached to the double yellows on the bottom. He might be able to pull off this victory. But a lot of things can happen in 5 miles. Green flag is in the air. Back of the field did not get a great start by the looks of it. Shredder a little bit high. He needs to come down just a bit. He does. He'll keep OTR Anonyms behind him just a little bit longer. Oh, Prius is into the wall behind them. They're still green. No yellow flags. And it looks like it's a single car incident. Ludacris now up in the 4th position. He wants something to go wrong with the top 3 now. About 3.5 miles left to go at this point. Anonyms, Cobri need to figure out a way to get around Shredder. They're side by side in 5th and back. But at the front, Shredder leads, coming to the white flag. I don't think the newcomers in 2nd and 3rd are confident enough to make a move to get around. TJ trying to make something happen farther back. Someone else goes into the wall farther back there. Ray Gun very nearly gets turned. Cobry trying to push Anonyms on the outside. Shredder holds the inside line. Anonyms not going to follow. They stay single file. Shredder drifts wide. It's the last lap. Last corner. Cobry right behind Anonyms. Can't make it work. Here they come to the checkered flag. SRD Shredder will go from pole to victory at Daytona. OTR Anonyms comes home second. Aerocobe will be third. Fourth will be Ludicrous Speed. Fifth will be Raygun. Sixth will be Rockmaro. Seventh will be TTJ111. Eighth will be Matter by the looks of it. Ninth should be... I can't quite figure out who got ninth. But SRD Shredder led the first few laps of the event, and he led a bunch of the last laps, including the most important one. I don't know why the game says Coco Gamer won. He absolutely did not. And that's it for SRD Shredder. A victory. Ignore that, as the pace car is now just going to start acting up and acting all fuddy-duddy at this point. So we're going to try and get our podium finishers into the party, hear what they have to say about their run to the end here. As this race is now over, and the 350 goes into the storybooks once more in a very, very interesting scenario. Trying to get Aerocobe into the party as well real quickly. Alright, but first we want to start with your race winner here at the Daytona 350. It is SRD Shredder. Shredder, congratulations for winning the biggest race in OSRL and doing it from the pole. Walk us through the race from your perspective. What happened?
Both of them.
Alright, Shredder, you take home pole. You win Daytona from the pole, something that almost has never been done before here. In fact, I don't think it's ever been done here before in this series, so congratulations on that. Do you think this puts you in a good position for a championship this season?
Yeah, we've got a lot of high-class people this season, as proven by in the Bush clash. We've got a lot of people with pace in this thing, so it's going to be a struggle. This gives me a boost, definitely, being at the top of the standings, but it's going to be difficult.
Alright, well, either way, outstanding job. Also, now we want to go ahead and talk to our second place finisher, OTR Anonyms. Anonyms, go ahead, include your audio.
It is.
Great run today, but you lost your teammate late in the event and was only able to come home second. Did you have any plan to get around Shredder at the end there?
Actually, I didn't. I was not confident enough to try and go for an overtake, so I just settled for P2, which is something I never hoped for. It was really like a desperate thing when I looked at the duels qualifying. Qualified last. I was very slow, and getting P2 is nice. Perfect strategy with Roger, Shredder, and popping. So.
Yeah, no, the strategy you guys worked out was absolutely amazing. You timed that perfectly, and then the restarts as well really worked out in your favor. So going forward into the rest of the season, do you think you can convert this into momentum for a possible title run?
We'll try. I really like road courses. I'm not really an oval guy, so considering many ovals on the calendar, should be fine.
Alright. Well, outstanding job, Anonyms. Now I want to go ahead and talk to our third place finisher, Aerocobe, assuming he did get into the party.
He did not.
No, he's still not in the party. Alright, I'm going to try and get him in one more time real quickly. get him in there. All right. Well, anyways, we do want to go ahead talk to some of the other drivers involved in today's run. Real quickly, want to say something. Want to hear from Tactical Fallout. Tactical Fallout, go ahead, include your audio. Very interesting day. A lot of people were expecting you to kind of charge to the front and stay there, and that never really materialized. What happened to you today?
The qualifying position. I knew I wasn't really going to be much of a threat, and then just kind of got screwed over a little bit near the end there. Just got chopped down on 3 times by one guy. I wasn't really happy with him, but what can you do? But I mean, I was running mid. My goal was to get top 10 this race. 3 spots shy, or actually 4 spots, because SSR did beat me to the line just barely. He literally dragged me to the line there. That was fun. But
It's not on private though. It's unjoinable. I never set my things to private.
But yeah, no, I mean, the race was pretty okay. I mean, I was kind of happy with just the general performance. There's a lot of cautions, but when it's spread out so much where you're just kind of stuck in the middle there, it was just like, it's just like you couldn't make moves because everybody was doing the same pace almost. So.
Yeah. No, you make a fair point. Well, it ended up not working out for you. Saw one moment that you almost rolled that car coming out of 2 as well, so that was...
Yeah, that was fun. That was the first time I felt to get up on 2 wheels in a while, so...
Alright, well, hopefully you'll be able to turn things around and get back to a more normal form for you next week at Miami.
I hope so.
Alright, we also want to go ahead and talk to Rock Morrow. Rock, you've had success at Daytona before. Sadly, that success did not come to bear or fruit for you today. What happened out there for you outside of rolling down the back straightaway?
There was a lot of rolling from me today. I'm pretty sure my little driver got some CTE from that, but that's beside the point. It was a very up and down race for me. I started in a good spot off of qualifying, but I was instantly shot down to dead last after the first couple of cautions. So I saw a lot of the mid pack and I saw a lot of last, and I was given a lot of opportunities to work with a lot of different people. Some worked out a little bit better than others, but I hear somebody laughing.
Sorry, that was pretty funny.
What was it? I lost my train of thought here, but I got very lucky towards the end. I was in a 3-car train with Coca and I believe it was Ray Gun, and I had noticed we were coming down to the final pit stop, so I decided to pit early because I knew if we pit at that point, if there was a caution that would come out, we'd have enough fuel to the end. I didn't want to run the risk of pitting or not pitting, and then a caution comes out and I'm screwed, just like Daytona Road Course. So I took them in with me, and a couple of cautions came out at the end of the race, which was extremely fortunate. And at the end, I said to Ray Gun, I was like, Ray Gun, I'm gluing to your bumper, we're going. And I carried him all the way up, and I'm very happy with 6th after the way that race went.
All right, well, do you think you'll be able to turn things around into more top 5 finishes, at least, for the rest of the season?
At road courses, I really hope so. At Miami, I don't know, because Miami and Indy I'm not very good at, so it's going to be questionable, and road courses are getting harder and harder by the day now with everybody who's coming in, so we'll see.
All right, well, thanks for being able to talk with us. All right, 3rd place finisher was Arrow Cobre. Arrow, go ahead, include your audio. Very strong run from you today, being able to kind of jump all the way through the field, come home 3rd, but did you have any plans to get around the 2 ahead of you?
I wasn't really planning on winning the race. As soon as I got into the top 10, after that, there was a caution, and I pit like perfectly timed. I was able to manage to not get a penalty, and I was in the top 10, and I was ahead of everybody else that was on my pit cycle, and so I was able to just get in the top 3, and I was just happy to sit in the top 3 until the end of the race.
All right, so really no tries, at least, to go for the win. So now the question becomes, do you think you can turn this into more podium finishes as the season goes on, maybe make a run for the title?
I'd like to hope so, but Homestead and Indy, I think Rock just said, I am not very good at Homestead and Indy. I think maybe the road courses I could probably do something, but Definitely not a good chance in the ovals.
All right, well, good news is most of the season is on road courses. The bad news is next week is an oval, though, so. All right. Well, anyways, that's the word from our third place finisher, Aero Cobra. We also want to talk to our fourth place man, Ludicrous Speed. Ludicrous, at one point today, you led a bunch of laps. It looked like you were going to lead more laps than anyone else, and it looked like you were going to do something that no one else had ever done. Win your duel, win the Clash, and win the Daytona race itself. But it all kind of came unglued towards the end. Walk us through the race from your perspective.
I'm cursed.
Several things happened. We did have a couple of times where people just wouldn't stop hitting each other, so we went ahead and ran the command of, no yellows for a couple of laps just to get things going. And it basically started getting unglued when I had a big run-up on, a Stingray. And he tried to go down, completely bailed out, probably rebounded off of somebody's car and hit me, and I had nowhere to go, and that put me straight into last. And from there, I kind of just fuel ran my way clear to the front with a couple lucky yellows. But those front four were it was basically like hitting a concrete wall. Once you got to the front 4 or 3, there was no getting past them. And I feel bad for Prius Killer. I didn't mean to take him out there. It's just that once he started getting loose and he started getting off the pack, I wish I could have let off, but I had the entire field literally locked bumpers, and there was just nothing I could have done. But it was a wild race today. I'm going to have my work cut out for me going through everything after this race because, oh boy, my phone's going off. And yeah.
Forza absolutely crapped the bed when it came to recording everyone going across the line. So if anyone has a recording of the last lap or two, that would be great. Yeah, it completely crapped itself. It tried to say that Coca won the race, and it tried to say that Raygun came home third.
It's having that for me, too. We already know where Coca finished and where Raygun finished, but other than that, I'm just trying to figure it all out.
Yeah. All right. Well, either way, though, shame it didn't work out for you, though. But you did have a strong run. Do you think you could at least, carry the strength of this run through the rest of the season?
I hope so. Sorry, I'm writing something down here. If my Clash run and my Road America run is anything to go by, I feel like I can have a strong run. 15 races in this season, right? If you finish last today, you can completely erase that with 1 or 2 good finishes in the next following week. So,
you also did win the first stage of the event and your duel, so that does help you a bit.
It does help me a little bit. So, we'll just have to see how it goes. I hope I can carry the momentum. Obviously, like I said, 15 weeks. These first, 4 or 5 weeks, the grid's just going to be shuffled all over hell. So, we'll just see what happens. It's just another year, another Daytona 350, another race of coming up short. But hopefully one of these years I can get this one, and maybe we can grab some wins throughout the season.
All right, well, that's the word from Ludicrous Speed coming home fourth. We also want to talk to the man who was going to come home fourth until that final restart came out, Prius Killer. Prius, go ahead and include your audio. You had worked your way up into the 4th position, and then everything fell apart in the final restart. But how did you get to 4th near the end of the race to begin with?
Well, there was that long green flag run before the last 2 cautions, and I sort of just slowly made my way through from people going on the outside and losing the draft and all that. Went from 11th to 4th in that stint before the caution came out.
And then obviously everything kind of fell apart on that final restart. You got lucky you didn't get hit, though.
No, someone hit me.
Oh, okay. Cameras didn't catch that, so we just saw you get spun right into the outside wall, and it looked like everyone navigated by without issue.
Oof died.
Well, oof. All right. Well, obviously you have some strength. You have some, ability. Can you convert it into better finishing positions later on as the season goes on?
Well, pace-wise, yes. Luck-wise, probably not. It seems to be I get screwed at the end of every single race. If there's a caution.
Fair enough point. Well, hopefully you're able to get that turned around. Thanks for being willing to talk with us. One more person I do want to talk to real quickly would be Raygun versus Zombie. Raygun, first up, where did you finish? Because the game is obviously lying to me. And what would you say your race was like? Okay. What would you describe your race as from your perspective, at least?
The very beginning was kind of iffy. The middle part was much a downfall. But with those cautions and just losing the draft and everything else, it's just like, I don't know. But coming home with the top 5, thanks to Rock, it's pretty good. Second top 5 in the 350 for me. Out of 4 or 3 races I've been in. Ain't that bad. Proud of this number 5 mid-mobile Chevy. Carrying it over from the duels and all that.
Alright. Well, outstanding job, mate, on bringing it home, top 5. Do you think you can do what you did in Season 3 and, maybe lead the points for a few races early in the season, or do you think this was just more of a fluke, one-off?
I mean, coming off from Daytona RC, I can show that I can have good pace on road courses, and plus, the next race at Homestead, where the last time we went to Homestead, I led the points after that race, so maybe we can see that again. Never know.
Alright, well, we'll be looking forward to what you can do this year. One more person to talk to is Coco Gamer 11. Coco, go ahead, include your audio. Very strange race. You were up front, you led a bunch of laps early on in the event, and then you kind of fell off the radar, never factored in again. What happened?
So, I think, okay, first and foremost, a little off topic. I take back everything I said about Tactical's tune, this tune from last week. I really think it's great. The drafting was great. I mean, the only thing is, alright, look, listen to me, alright? The only thing is, the car was like super twitchy, and I think that's why so many people were like, colliding with each other. Nothing you could like figure out until there's an actual pack and stuff like that. So I can't blame Tactical at all. But anyway, back to the question. I mean, the problem is, I mean, obviously with all the cautions and stuff, it did not help. But we were I was kind of mid-pack throughout the very beginning of that beginning portion of the race, regardless of all the cautions and stuff like that. And I think what happened was I was working with Arrow, and we both decided, along with most of the pack, to pit. I think it was lap 90, and everyone else stayed out. And my plan was thinking that once they all pit, the people that actually stayed out, we'd be able to slingshot by them, and we'd be, lead pack, like eighth place, and, stay there until the end of the race. Well, I forgot to take into account that those lead lap drivers would be going in at a time where when they pit, they'd be set for the rest of the race. That never crossed my mind. Neither did I know how many laps it would take to run out of gas on these cars. So that's completely on me, and I think from there I just kind of got caught with the back markers and stuff like that. It's just kind of hard because most of those guys were not in our party, and I think the main form of communication in order to win is just by bump drafting people, and you can't do that when there's people in separate parties. And I think part of that would, like, an example of that would be with me and Rock. Rock is good, like, I know he's a good person to work with. It's just so hard because you can't communicate with him. But I was able to communicate with TJ pretty well because he was in my party, and, good for him. But anyway, yeah.
All right, well, outstanding run out there today. It's just kind of a shame that in the end it didn't really go anywhere by race end.
Yep.
All right, well, that is the word from Coco Gamer. There's one more person I do want to try and get word from. Also, when it comes to messages from Dino Prime, he continues to insist on being mute, but he did say that he was not happy with the run today. He said that he shot himself in the foot with a .50 caliber Beowulf. He also said they hated the fact that everyone just seemed to be permanently locked into single file, and no one was really willing to make moves or even able to make moves beyond that. And I can somewhat sympathize with that mindset. But anyways, that's almost most of the field and what they have to say. There's one more person we do want to get word from and opinion from. SSR U5 AMVP, go ahead, include your audio. From a last place starting position, you came up, you were able to lead some laps, and then just kind of petered out in the very ending parts of the race. Walk us through the event from your perspective. What was your race like?
I'll be honest, my race was kind of there, here and there, but strategies didn't work out how we wanted it. On not getting the finish, I was hoping it was. But overall, other than that massive wreck I got involved early, I had a pretty good race.
All right, well, good job turning a last place starting position, a situation that put you under high risk of going a lap down early, turning that around to leading laps and spending a good part of the midpoint of the race in, top positions. Also brought home a good chunk of stage points as well, so good job there as well.
Yeah, second in stage 1 and in stage 2.
All right, well, that's the word from SSR, coming home in about the 13th position. That will be everything for our coverage here at Daytona, though. There's not really a whole lot else to really get into at this point. There's not been anyone else who's tried to jump into this party for interviews, and I've talked to just about everyone I really am really trying to talk with as well. But next week, it will, at about the same time, maybe a little bit later, will be the second race of the OSRL season as they take to the slightly less high banks at the Homestead Miami Speedway multi-groove. You actually have to, get off the throttle and rotate the car through the corners or maybe even brake. A lot more open strategy. Much, much different kind of oval race there than what we saw here today. But until that time, I've been your host for today's race in St. Lear 13. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you next time, and